because we're in an industrialized country where formula is mass produced and water is safe, they would rather push the formula than allow the mom to breastfeed.
Welcome back to the ride. The mothership has landed and you're inside the Black Mama Magic Room with the greatest podcast on earth, Them Black Mamas Podcast. Welcome. I am Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4.
I am Thea Monnier, mother of, I was supposed to say how many? 3. 3.
How many you got?
I know.
And I am Nikisha Killings, also mother of 4.
So welcome. We are happy to be here. We are back on YouTube. So shout out to all.
I'm still trying to,
You're still learning.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I got a new camera coming though, y'all.
Oh, so you're going to be doing it with the camera?
Yeah, I got a camera. I was so tired of
okay.
Michael flexing on me in meetings that I just said, send me that link.
Okay, send me that link because that was the next thing that I wanted us to level up to. So send me that link as well, so that we can, so that we can level up. But shout out to our YouTube people. We have about 100 followers on YouTube. I love that because about 3 months ago we only had 25. So. People are watching on YouTube. So, hey, y'all, thank y'all so much for supporting us. And we just came out of a very beautiful, I don't want to say deep, because whenever you say deep, people are like, oh, God. But, it was a very deep, grounding conversation about love. So if you are a part of our Patreon, we're going to be putting that in our Patreon for you to watch because it was a beautiful conversation. And we open every show. We don't open every show, but before we start officially recording, we asked Thea to do a prayer. And this time she had an offering for us that came to her during one of her yoga sessions. And it was really, really beautiful. And it just turned into a conversation that we weren't anticipating. But we would love to share it with you because it hit us in so many different ways. So
those are the best conversations that we have.
Yeah.
Those always are.
It was expansive. So we want you to expand too. So that'll be some bonus content in our Patreon. This episode is like all of our episodes, we'll be following the same outline. As you can see, we usually start out going down some kind of rabbit hole and then we're brought back and we're back. We're reeled in and back to the outline now. So we'll start out with our
responsive reading,
church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. Then we'll jump into our mac and cheese, which we're super excited about. You may see a little change. Thea wasn't able to join us for the mac and cheese. She wasn't feeling well that day. And we've already recorded it. So for those of you watching, you just, if you see some changes, it's not you. It's not you. Us.
Outfit changes, all kinds of things.
There's an actual change happening.
Yes, there's an actual change.
Drink water and mind your business.
But we're super excited to speak with Rita Little, who is going to talk about her breastfeeding journey, which included informal milk sharing. So we're really excited to talk about that and elevate her story and give some knowledge about a topic that's not talked about often. And then we'll end with our Black Mama Say. So let's get into it, party people.
Is that a really full excited. Black Mama magic card deck you have there, Crystal Tennille Irby? I am on fire today. I am on fire today, y'all.
She is on fire today. Yes, this is the full Black Mama Magic Card deck. And, hold on, I lost it. Well, never mind. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to disappear just for a second.
Okay.
You know what?
It does look great when we do it.
I should have done that. I was looking at my crochet baby.
Yeah, you should.
I should have just done a little.
Yeah, you should have. You gotta be smoother than that. You don't just put your hands together to get. You just gotta be coordinated. You like you praying. There it is. There it is. You got it. It's on the 2.
It's on the 2. For those of you who don't know,
on the 1.
For those of you who don't know, watch our first YouTube episode and you'll get it. Okay, that's why they want. But yes, Thea, this is a full deck. We got 50. How many cards in a full deck? 54?
52? 54?
52 cards. Who was that in a rap song? I got 52 cards. Somebody said that in a rap song.
52 cards went out. And you dealing, that's Jay-Z.
That's okay. I knew it was somebody. And, before the mini deck.
Just the shoulders off.
I should know that. That was our bath time song. Before, that was my kids' bath time song. But when it was time to get about, because get that dirt off your shoulders, we would do that in the bathtub.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, our mini deck was just wrapped in some plastic. This one comes in a box, y'all.
Look at
nice
that.
little box.
This was a mission, y'all.
This was really a mission. So we got a full deck here. So we'll be pulling from a full deck today. Let's see what the ancestors have to say.
Will the other Dim Black Mamas be receiving a full deck so that we can also pull from the full deck?
You know what I don't appreciate is when we ask questions tasks that are on my to-do list.
Oh, that's family business.
Family business on the show. Of course, you're going to get a whole Magic Evermore box. You're going to get a whole box.
Still a little bit of Leo season. The tail end, but it's still Leo season.
You know what? I don't appreciate y'all acting like, oh, she's going to give us one. I don't appreciate
Lisa,
that.
Can I have some more? Or I can still keep picking from the mini deck. That's fine. I know we must save resources. Thank you, Governor. May I have a photocopy of the latest deck?
I don't want today. You are.
She is on one today. Okay. Do you all want to do a number or do you just want me to pick a card?
We got so many to choose from now. We got 52.
I look really pretty from this angle.
You look really good, but it's still Leo.
Let me tell you.
Calm down. This is how they do you. Every fire sign thinks it's their season every fire season. I swear to God. I got to get elbowed a couple times in sad season. I do. So it's just what we have to do.
I do. I just want to stay like this. Like my hair is
one Aries I know sent me a picture of herself on my birthday. For my birthday. So
I didn't do that.
You didn't do it. It wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
But okay, let's pick number 33.
I agree though. Oh, okay, that works. I was going to say something over 30 to make sure.
Okay, 33. Okay,
33.
We haven't talked about it.
Oh, wait. Question. Wait, that brought a question. Is it in the same order as the mini deck was? And how many were in the mini deck?
Half of 50.
Okay, so 33 is still over. We still good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was 27.
I should have had this in order, but I do not. Okay. Card number 33. Okay, our numbers person, 33. I really do look so pretty.
You do, girl.
I just want to say, you know what? But I'm going to talk about that in my church announcements. I think I know what it is. Okay. All right. So,
glow.
Thea. Okay, but let's talk about the number. So this is card 33. 3 plus 3 is 6. Thea, our numbers person. 6 is the number of harmony.
I'm in my 6th year, actually. This is my 6th year because I'm 42. And it's 2022, so it's a 6.
Harmony. I was just talking about this card.
This is the one?
We pulled this card because we do an IG
no
live.
Way!
Yes, I'm not joking.
It's the same one?
It's the same one. We do an IG live every full moon, and we pull 3 cards from the Black Mama card deck. And I was just talking to Thea about how powerful this card was, and we pulled it for the full moon in August, and it is card number 33.
You're kidding.
I trust all of me.
That makes me like emotional.
That's
great.
That's our card.
Tell the people what it says.
Out of 52
Tell the people what it
cards,
says.
we picked the same card you were talking about.
The same one I was talking about. And it's so fitting with what we were talking about earlier in our bonus content. So, okay. Dear Mama, trust all of you. The clear and the messy, the calm, and this is the part that got me, and the furious, the simple and the complex. Embrace all of your dynamics. You are multiple, existing in many times and places in many ways. All of it is you, and you are all. Trust your rage and your healing heart in equal measure. Know at your core, you are good, you are love, and you are spirit.
Ooh.
I did right there.
I love this card.
I do
Because
too.
I had to ask myself, like, do I trust all of me? Sure, I trust the creative part. I trust when I'm calm. But do I trust my anger? Do I trust that it's valuable information telling me something?
I had a since harmony became my vibration for this year. One thing I learned immediately about harmony is harmony is full acceptance of what is. It's not a wanting things to be other than what they are. It's just, it doesn't mean peace. It just means you fully trust that the way it is the way it is to be, the way it should be. It helps you understand that there's a bigger picture happening. So you may not know why this is happening, but you trust that it's happening in harmony with everything else that's happening. And last week I had a hard week because I had these moments where I was questioning the way I was showing up in spaces. And what came out of it was that card was, no, I trust all of me all the time without exception. If I show up and I cuss you out, I'm in harmony with that. That's what was supposed to happen. If I show up and I'm grounding you, I'm in harmony with that. That's what's supposed to happen. If I show up and I'm crying, I'm in harmony with that, and that's what's supposed to happen. As opposed to, I don't know about y'all, but I would just expect myself to be calm and centered and knowing all the time that was the only representation that was spirit. And if I am what I am, and I know I'm spirit, and I can never not be spirit. There's no such thing as me not being spirit. There's just me staying in the realization that I'm always spirit, which means no matter how the fuck I show up, I'm spirit. And instead of questioning that, and after every outburst and every, meltdown, being like, oh, what, I could have done this, and I should have done this, and I should have used my tools. No, that's exactly how the fuck my spirit showed up. That day, that was warranted. I don't know why, but what I trust is that if it came out of me, is what was supposed to come out in that moment, in that time, case closed, and it's going to have to work itself out in the bigger picture. Like, I trust that all of that is equally as valuable, and my expressions and me letting them be diverse and different is valuable to the ecosystem of harmony all around the world. That actually me closing myself to one form of expression was disharmonious. I'm just now being in harmony, but allowing all of those things. So that is like so crazy to me that you picked that card. And that card is just,
it's a powerful card. And I think what you're saying is like a product of the wellness industry now.
Absolutely.
Is that we're always all the time supposed to be calm. But the one thing that learning about movements, social justice movements has taught me is that there's value in the tension of multiple ways to show up. And we have to be comfortable in the tension. We have to be comfortable in all the ways that because there are multiple, like you said, there are multiple ways to show up. But
if I'm all, if I am, because I am, and I am doesn't say I am one thing. I am, and I'm spirit, and I'm all. It's impossible for me to be one thing all the time.
Yeah,
and not allowing the full expression of the I am is harmful. It's anti-nature and it's anti-spirit. And so instead of sitting there like, oh, maybe I should have, or I don't spend any energy right now in that place anymore because I just say, yep, that's what I said. That's what I did. I trust it. It must have been, I had to do with Taya the other day. And I was like, did I, I didn't even go into was I bad? Should I have? No. Whatever I said to Taya in that moment, whatever I said to my kid, she needed it. I trust that. Maybe it doesn't feel good to us right now, but I trust and know my spirit is good. It would not say anything that would harm any type of growth or evolution for anybody. So if I said it, if I did it, if I didn't do it, if I didn't go, it's what was supposed to happen. Period.
Yeah, I think we don't trust that our spirit is good. I think that
we're taught not to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or but also that what is a good spirit is a calm, quiet, only
meek
spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that taking on this perspective helps us to eliminate a lot of regret and shrinking too, right? So I regret the way I showed up. That was wrong. That was too much, whatever. And moving forward, I'm going to tamper down who I am. All that. Mm-hmm. All that. If you say that's how I was show up, the universe must have needed that that day.
Yeah. And if you felt kind of way about it, you should consult the universe. I don't need the notes.
Right. And not that you're being loud and wrong, not that you're defending.
But you know that your spirit will tell you that. So that's the other thing. Like, spirit's going to check me if I'm out of order. If I didn't feel it, but you come telling me that's what I was, then you felt it. That's your work. I didn't feel it because spirit would tell me when I'm out of order. We roll like that. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta be in alignment for that. Some of us aren't all the way in alignment to take that perspective, but I'm with you on that. Yeah.
we gotta be like that.
Some of us are wilding in the spirit. We ain't hear nothing.
Some of us is like,
But if you're in alignment, you don't get checked, right?
Yeah, that's it. You gonna know. And you gonna know you're getting checked.
I love that Nikisha always points out, like,
for the people in the back.
For the people in the back, you gotta do.
We're not all on the same stage of our growth.
Yeah, because there will have a whole bunch of people out there who not aligned talking about this how I show up. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you have really thank you, Nikisha.
When you've done the work.
Nikisha always reminds us we're all at different stages of growth. She always reminds us. I appreciate that.
I'll send people out here, they'll be losing their jobs and their lives by tomorrow. Thank you, Nikisha. You know if you're in alignment too. Don't start no shit.
People quitting their job.
Don't start no shit, y'all. You know if you're in alignment, you know.
True story.
You know.
But that was a good card.
It's a great card.
It's liberating.
Somebody else needed to hear that too, not just us.
Love that card. So that's available in our
in
Black
the
Mama
full
Magic
deck.
Card deck. In the full deck.
That's in the upper numbers.
In the full deck.
28 and above.
I'm so excited to get the full deck. I can't wait to get my hot little hands on it.
It's coming. It's coming. Okay, people, it's coming. I gotta go to the post office. It's coming.
Girl, y'all would never get them from me. Never send them here. You know I avoid the post office like the fucking plague. I do not.
Okay, so let's roll into our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests.
Let's do it. Who's gonna start? Got church announcements.
I'll start.
Crystal starts.
I'll start. Okay, so I have some church announcements here. I got a paper job. Okay, so first of all, our Magic Evermore boxes are on sale now. When you buy these boxes, you're investing in us, which means you're investing in a platform curated by 3 women actively creating spaces of healing, creativity, and liberation. Listen, y'all. We want to do some bigger and better things. We want to grow, we want to expand, and we want to nurture you in the process. So that's why you get all of these goodies in return for investing in us. So you get a full deck of Black Mama Magic cards, incense from our favorite Smell Good Spa. And let me tell you, the scent that's in there this time. Is it BOGO today?
Girl, it was last Friday. I don't know why you be missing them. I have them
didn't
in
put it
my
on my
phones
calendar.
last Friday.
I got to put it
And
on my
let
calendar.
me do a quick advertisement for the Love Skin line. A
But
bitch
the
been
way
smelling
you
like
held
Meg.
it, like you had the product.
Because right there. About the Love Skin line. Okay. They got the marinade that you can put on after you shower while you still wet. Just sit with that for a second. The shit locks in while you wet. And then they got the mango, pomegranate, acai. Y'all, I walk in places, just random places, and it'll be random folks like, you smell good.
And it lasts. It lasts.
I
It
do
lasts.
smell good.
Yeah. Yeah. Most scents you have to layer to last, but hers you don't. But the scent that we have in this box is called Flare.
I love Flare.
Flare is a game.
I've smelled a couple new. Melody is also nice.
Yeah. I lit Flare and walked out of the room and then walked back in and was like, which one is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flare.
Nice. So that's in there. We have a Magic Evermore frame. Also a God jar. And a God jar is a jar that you can do one of two things in. You can, whatever you're worried about, you're concerned about, you're stressed about, you put it in your God jar and you say, God's going to handle it. Or you, whatever you want to manifest, you put in there and say, the universe and God and myself are in alignment to manifest this. And it will come to me just as light came when God called it into existence. And we have some postcards, some lovely, lovely postcards. I don't have them near me, so I can't go get them now. Black Mama Magic postcards, and also 4 manifestation crystals. So this is a lot of goodies. There's a lot of goodies in there. It's a lot of goodies in there.
I'm not being ignorant. A child is texting me. Y'all know this life.
I should do a reel, like with my
run out of here, Mystical?
with my. I should do a reel.
It's real.
I like a reel and like the song with my goodies and like do like what's in the box.
I was thinking my goodies, but I didn't want to be a distraction again.
Yeah. Okay, I should do that. Okay, yeah, I was surprised you didn't jump in, Thea.
I thought about it, girl.
I didn't surprise you didn't jump in.
Trying to be mindful.
I'm surprised you didn't jump in. Okay, so that's on sale now. The link is in our show notes. Please, please, please go get your Magic Evermore box. My second announcement is that I will be presenting at the Black Maternal Health Conference in Washington, D.C. You can also attend virtually September 17th through September 18th. The title of my presentation is Art, Abolition, and Black Maternal Health. So I will be there in D.C. I think there's still virtual tickets on sale. By the time this airs, they might be sold out, but I think there may still be virtual tickets on sale. I am producing the Birth and Breastfeeding Conference, which is October 3rd through October 5th. That is also virtual. And I will be interviewing the celebrity guests for that conference. I'm super, super excited about the celebrity guests. I'm not going to announce that just yet because we have to confirm. And on Sunday, October 23rd, Dim Black Mamas will be doing a workshop called I Am, writing an artist statement or a statement of purpose. So the link to attend that. This is my favorite workshop to teach. My absolute.
You do really. This is a really good one.
And it's a good workshop.
It is.
It's a good workshop. So if you need to write an artist statement, if you need to write a cover letter, if you're trying to get in grad school, you need to write your statement of purpose, an artist statement. This is the workshop for you. I give you concrete tools to write this statement, and you can change it, switch it up, make it longer and make it shorter. So that is on October 23rd. Coming up in November, I'm hoping that we can do a podcast workshop. But I got to talk to Thea about that. See if she wants to do this presentation that we've done before.
Yeah.
So look out for that. Hopefully in November. I'm thinking November. So look out for that. So those are all of my praise report. I got my first creative consulting client. So I'm consulting creatively. So I'm super excited. It's going really, really, really well. So praise report. I got my first consulting job as a creative consultant. So I'm super excited.
How can the people book you? So there'll be more jobs.
I'll put that link in the show notes about how you can book consulting time with me. I'll put that link in the show notes. I don't advertise that. I guess I should. I don't advertise that. But that's with my company, Free Grow Movement. So I'm excited. So those are my church announcements. What a difference a year makes. Like,
what difference a year makes.
Those are great.
Wow. So I'm so excited.
Even what a difference an episode makes. I think in our last episode, we were like, yeah, we breathing is what we're doing right now. Please, now we all just, and it's okay to rest.
We ain't got to have 50 million things going on all the time.
But this stuff is, I space this stuff out intentionally because I want to savor. So I space this stuff out intentionally. So I'm excited. But I'm excited though.
That's awesome.
But those are my church announcements. Who's up next?
You want me to go?
I don't. It's not about to. No.
Sorry, guys. I got to get my charger. I don't know why.
That's okay. Unlike Crystal, I do not space my things out. So I got thing after thing after thing that I'm going to tell you all about. But
I'm a back it.
Listen, what is happening right now as we speak, as this episode is airing, is the 1-year anniversary of the Melanated Memory Atlas.
Yay! That's a huge deal. Huge
we
deal.
made it a year. Honey, listen. Despite the naysayers and the complications and the all that.
Look at my hair.
You look like
who was a naysayer?
Are we going to name it? Are we going to name it on air? Is that who we are?
Well, you know me. I'm an Aries, so I'm like, I want the names.
Burn it down. We can get the names out.
I want the names.
As a Scorpio, you know I'm keeping names. But I digress.
I want the names.
As a Leo, I'm just telling me when to show up in all black.
And it's on site. Listen, the Melanated, let me put it back on. So this professional resource was launched Black Breastfeeding Week in 2021. So here we are. We've come full circle a whole year since it's been available to the world. We are just ecstatic about the growth we've experienced and the way that folks have, come to it. We got, just parents all over the world like, you know what? Let me share this with you. And providers all over the world just sending pictures.
I'm going to be in the Atlas as well.
And hairy nipples from anonymous sources.
Representation matters.
It's a thing. Yes.
It's a thing. It is. We'll make a whole category for it. It is. Listen, I'm sure there are providers who've never seen for hair, for something. I was going to say 4C, but for category for hair on nipples. And so.
Oh, yeah, because it's not the same as this texture. It's not the same texture.
And the hair bumps and everything that come with our hair, that might be new to some folks on the areola. So anyway, however, we have made it a year. We are really, really proud of the accomplishment and continue to, and we'll look forward to many, many more years of affecting change in the way that health providers know how to assess or learn to assess skin of color. Boom, boom. So that's that. And the roadshow continues. Like I said, I'm like Crystal. I spread nothing out. So I'm
trying to write a book. So I'm spreading this out and a TV show. So
I felt that. I'm gonna keep moving though. So yeah,
we gonna get you to.
That's not it.
We gonna get you to write this book though. But go ahead.
So.
Okay, but go ahead.
If you are attending the National Wicca Association Conference, you will see me on a panel September 8th in Orlando. If you are attending Black Maternal Health Conference, I'll be presenting as well on I think it's like the last session. I don't even know if I'm going to make my flight out of there. I'm in the last session on the last day. I'll be presenting creating solutions with Black families in mind, creating systemic solutions with Black families in mind is a topic I'm talking about. I'll talk about not just
that's a good presentation. I saw that one. That's a good presentation. Go ahead. I've seen
not just my journey creating the Atlas, but your journey,
that's
your journey, understanding what the needs are in your community and creating a solution that can be
really
anything that you create that takes care of us really has tentacles to help the whole
That's
world.
an excellent presentation for leaders, people who want to be game changers. That's just a great presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, girl. And then for those who are in lactation, I'll be at the United States Lactation Consultant Association Conference that next week, September the 22nd through 24th. So I will be all over in September. Norfolk. That's in Norfolk.
Missing some recordings.
So those, that's Orlando, DC, Norfolk. in September. Catch me if you
can. Booked and busy.
Well, must be on them Black Mamas if you can. It's gonna be missing some recordings, but okay.
We're she's. Well, we're gonna.
Are any of our? I know Black Maternal Health that conference is virtual. Are the other two virtual? Can people purchase virtual?
The National WIC Association conference is not.
Okay.
Amazingly, this year, but yes, United States Lactation Consultant Association,
okay.
USLTA is virtual.
So we'll have that link in our show notes. So
yes,
yeah. Thank you, Nikisha. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, Thea, what's up?
The kid is back. Poppin'? I said the kid is back. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left
right
you.
Here.
Without a dope beat to step to. I appreciate that Nikisha just joined in with my foolishness. Listen. Y'all, listen, I kind of like quit shit without quitting it.
For those of you who don't know, Thea is an extremist sometimes. Like, there's no middle ground for her. So, like, she don't just, like, let me just take a break, chill. It's like, I quit. Like one time, fun fact, Thea watched, what's the name of the documentary, Thea?
Maxed Out. And everybody needs to watch it to find out how they be taking advantage of in the system.
And she called
It's about credit card debt and how they do you.
It's about credit card debt. And she called me and she was like, oh my God, I just watched Maxed Out. They're doing all this stuff with credit cards. I can't believe it. I've been duped. Like, it's terrible. And she went on. I was like, yeah, it's really bad. Yeah, that's true. Da 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 da. And they do be on college campuses like that. Da 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 da. And I hung up the phone. And then I was like, I have a friend who goes hard. And I tell you, it wasn't even 5 minutes later. I called her. She had cut up all her credit cards.
Cut them all up. Cut them all up. All them motherfuckers. Sure did.
She had cut them all. So Thea goes in hard. Hard.
I do.
So,
I'm getting better. Like this time, it wasn't like a dramatic.
So when she shut everything, I'm just shutting everything down. I'm shutting it all down.
This time it was sort of like a. Like it wasn't like I was like, it just started to be like.
She lost a little
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to do that. It was a little bit of more of a meltdown than a shutdown.
Okay.
But I was shifting. So last year was a 5. I was 41, 5, and it was 2021, 5. So now that only works for people born in 1980. I want you to know that. Bop, bop, bop. But I don't think it's, it's very unique to people in 1980 that the year and their birthday and the year and their age always lines up. But anyway, fun fact. What was happening, though, was I was shifting. Like, I was, it was a year of change. That was the change year. 5 is change. So, for me, so much of my outer world was about giving out. So much of I was a therapist, my offerings to the world, everything was about helping, healing, fixing, da-da-da-da. And then I went through this radical shift where I became the center of my life. And that hadn't been that way. And so in that shift, any offerings that were more about who was receiving them than whether or not I was enjoying creating them had to shift. And that took a lot of things because
soul searching.
Yeah. And
so,
I was in
soul,
30
soul
years of a
journey.
company.
I wouldn't say soul searching, soul journey.
Yeah. And it took to go from doing so ferociously and like sitting with why you do things that way, why you create that way. Like there's just a lot underneath the doing, and the why. And so since
you're really speaking to mothers right now. Like,
yeah,
I really want mothers to hear this about that doing piece. About that doing.
It was so much, and it took me. I've talked about this before, but it took me going into the Red Sea, seeing that entire world underneath that water, and in a moment realizing no matter how much doing, I'm never going to see all the beauty that God created on this planet alone. but my goal should be to see as much of it as humanly possible, because it gave me something. It made me realize I wasn't alive. I was living, but I wasn't alive. And I wasn't present in my living, and I wasn't centered in my living, and I wasn't asking myself the right questions in my living. And so the last year, it'll be a year in September, I have been just fighting to hold on to that gift that was given to me, which was, you're so important to God's Spirit that we want you to see more of this. We didn't intend for you to come here and be so distracted that you never got to experience as much of this beauty as possible, and not to just know it and not to just intellect it, but to feel it, to feel the way it feels when you stand in awe of this beautiful world. And it's really hard to have experiences like that and then try to explain them. And you can't go back to what you don't know now. Your mind has changed. Your worldview has changed. Your values have changed. But the people you love did not have that at the same time you did. So, I want to shout out my family and my friends, because they've had to travel with me this year without knowing any form of destination, without, and it was really a lot of times their trust in my faith, in my spirit, and my character that got me to take the next step. And so everything changed. And so I had to stop everything. And so since we last talked, I'm no longer a licensed therapist. I am just what I am, and I just do what I do. But I no longer have the restriction of a license. And so whatever Spirit tells me to do, for whoever Spirit tells me to do it, I can do it without having to check with the board of anything. And my company has shifted. I'm not focused on, necessarily educating. I'm just focused on cultivating spaces where we can just coexist and co-create and co-evolve. And so one of my announcements is we're going to be holding retreats, which I've always wanted to do. I miss being with people in person. Our first one is called the Grateful Body Expansion Experience that we're co-hosting with ACE Yoga in Carefree, Arizona in November. I return to the Red Sea next month, and I will be there for 20 days dreaming up the retreat that I've been wanting to give to you all since the first time I went a year ago. I knew I wanted to bring people there and see what the Red Sea has for them. And so in 2023, we will be hosting Hold Me Sacred at the Red Sea in March and September, and we're hoping to do Hold Me Sacred Costa Abajo in Panama as well next year. It combines a couple things, right? One, I just still love to hold divine sacred space for people. I know that, and I know that I want to do that just by being me. But it also allows travel, which I have to do. Like I have to roam, I have to, I'm Oya, I'm the wind, I'm a bird. I have to fly, and I have to be moving. I can't be in the U.S. longer than like 90 days without feeling that ache for all the beautiful things that Spirit wants me to see. And I had lost some of my joy for shaping the shift. And I found it again, which is like so exciting because I know it's special. I know it's important, but I didn't know I had to do it in a way that I loved. And so September 9th, we'll be dropping, our new format is we drop series instead of seasons. And so we will spend 5 to 6 episodes on a topic and instead of one topic per episode. And so our first topic is love. My first guest is my daughter, Talani. And she's fucking incredible in this episode. The episodes are basically like 40 minutes or less, but they're really, really so wonderful. I'm so excited. I've listened to them. I've had 3 recorded so far, and I've listened to them over and over again. And each time I feel excited. That's how I know I'm in a different place, because I'm like, oh, I want to give them a journal prompt for this, and I want to do this for this. Like, I feel the ideas come from. I want you all to like sit in it and be in it and think about it. And so I haven't felt that way in a long time. We have, love and ownership, love and language, love through the eyes of a 17-year-old in this pandemic era. We're doing love and time travel. And we're doing Love Revisited, which will be me and my husband really sharing about what it feels like to be married and together this long, and recreating or redefining love without just, what's the word I want to use? Like, with freedom, I guess, without like any like sort of guarantee. But just like to be in the freedom of the right for us as individuals to be different and evolve and love each other through that process and allow it to expand us in new ways. And yeah, we're still in that. So that episode, Lord help us. Lord help us. But yes, so those are my
announcements. Some people free.
Huh?
Set some marriages free. It's gonna set some folks free.
I hope so. Yeah. What this year has shown me is, what I knew, but what I know in a different way now is that, like, I want Mark to be there at the end of my life, and I want to be there at the end of his. And whatever way I can do that in the deepest love with him possible is what I'm committed to. And the shape of love, which is one of the titles we're playing with, matters less to me now than whether or not it's actually love, So we did a lot of growing up, y'all. That's why I deserve this Harmony year, which has its own stuff coming. But I look forward to sharing more with you all from Egypt, and hopefully, tapping in a new way with everybody.
And we'll have the link to
the Grateful Body Experience.
Yes, we'll have the link to the Grateful Body Experience, which is the retreat that you're doing in Arizona in November, right? Mm-hmm. But also the episode of Shaping the Shift where you talk about transition. I don't know.
The Tender of Transition.
The Tender of Transition. Mm-hmm. So will your new episode, this September 1st, so will your new episode be out?
You can put that one out. The new ones don't come out until September 9th.
Okay, so we'll have the link to the Tender of Transition, your latest episode of Shaping the Shift, that also gives more context to what you're saying, which is a really, really beautiful episode. We shared some of it on our social media, on our Instagram, and if you haven't listened, I really encourage everyone to listen. It was really inspiring, and it made me really think about how I wanted to do DBM this fall. And this fall, after this episode, all of our episodes will be about evolution and transformation. So it's really, really inspirational. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for, I don't want to say next chapter because I don't think it's that. I'm excited for your expansion.
Yeah. And I'm finally feeling here.
Yeah.
Like it's been years and years of work. But I'm finally feeling here.
Yeah.
Love that.
So we'll see.
So those are our church announcements, praise reports. And Thea, I think yours was a lot of praise report. I think you should give yourself a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll be able to speak more about it in 2023 because we're seeing it from the inside out. But
I've learned that I'm a very graceful person.
Yeah.
Like my mom.
So, so those are our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. Please check our show notes for all links to everything that we talked about, and show us some love. I do also want to shout out Say Less. I attended Say Less, and it is, what do you call it, Nikisha? The blackest, most productive space on the planet. Y'all, if you find yourself going down a rabbit hole, and it's first Monday and when? First Monday mornings, third Monday nights. Yeah, you'll drop the link. First and third Mondays, I'll have the link, because I was going down a rabbit hole and I needed to focus. And I was like, Say Less is going on. And I tapped in, and let me tell you, I got some shit done. So attend. It really is. I don't know. I don't know how, but you just do shit. So yeah, so it is the blackest, most productive space on the planet. So I do want to shout that out. So those are our church announcements, praise reports,
before we close that, we got to move on.
Requests.
I just want to say, if you could do real quick for me this and say where Craig at, I would just really because if you move them goddamn braids one more time.
I can see
Nikisha,
that.
I know
Craig at.
Food.
I know his ass in there.
Where Craig at?
Isn't that what she say next? I know his ass in there. And that's what she say next.
You might be.
I think she say that next.
You are an actor, so I'll give you a right. But I do know she said.
But that was accurate.
And I am now. I will be joining SAG this year.
You know
so
I love your mama.
I'm looking for work, y'all.
Looking for work. Make sure you're clear on the type of the way you handling it right now. Be specific. You're looking for acting.
Yes, acting work.
Well, the way you was holding your mouth and shit, I want to make sure we were all clear.
That's like,
we don't judge work.
If P Valley is casting. Is P Valley casting?
I need, you know what? Am I
going to
have to pay for Showtime to watch P Valley? I keep hearing about it, but I don't have access. Why am I watching it?
I have always wanted to play a Scripple.
She has.
I have.
Now that is true. That is actually her dream role.
Where can I watch P Valley? Where are y'all paying for?
Why would we talk about that?
I'm waiting for Hunk for Jesus. I'm waiting for Hunk for Jesus. You know, I can't wait for Hunk for Jesus coming out soon. September.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell me.
Okay, she'll
tell me offline.
I'll tell you offline. But I am.
Because I don't have access.
If y'all want to hire people, I am looking for work. Willing to travel.
Okay.
That would be a good headshot look.
Okay, we got to move on.
We do. We have to move on. Okay.
Our final segment is.
There you go.
Wait, Nikisha. Okay. So we've closed that. Okay. So, yes. So all those links will be in our show notes. So check our website, dimmblackmamas.com, for our show notes, for all those links, and make sure that you are following us. And you can also write us or DM us with your questions. We love listener letters. We're going to jump into our mac and cheese segment. And we're very, very excited for our guest. This is our Black Breastfeeding Week episode. So we have just ended Black Breastfeeding Week. And we always like to approach these kinds of weeks from a different, unique angle that a lot of people aren't talking about. And so I'm so grateful that our guest decided to join us today and talk about her unique breastfeeding journey. So, our guest today is Sharita Little. Do you want me to call you Sharita or Rita?
Rita, please.
Rita. Okay. Is a mom trying to leave the world a little better than she found it. She resides with pride in the city of Detroit and has been gifted with raising the most amazing 4-year-old full of black boy joy full of Black Boy Joy. Professionally, Rita works full time as a community health program manager for a local health system. She also works part time helping to inspire the minds of our future public health professionals as a professor at 2 universities. Rita remains diligent and dedicated to advocacy and education about breastfeeding with an emphasis on Black families. In celebration of Black Breastfeeding Week, Rita joins us today to share her journey of informal milk sharing. So, welcome to the Black Mama Magic Room.
Oh, so excited to have you. Yes, let's do it.
Welcome.
It's all you. It's all true.
Welcome to the mothership. Welcome to the mothership. So, before we get started, and you and Nikisha can add to this definition if you feel like you need to. But before we get started, I wanted to give a definition of informal milk sharing as opposed to formal milk sharing. Okay. So informal milk sharing is the practice of donating and receiving expressed human milk without going through a human milk bank. A human milk bank is a breast milk bank or lactarum.
New term. Okay.
I feel like they were trying to say, well, I don't know what they were trying to say, but I thought they were trying to say something else. But anyway, is a service that collects, screens, processes, and dispenses by prescription human milk donated by nursing mothers who are not biologically related to the recipient infant. There is usually a cost associated with receiving milk from a milk bank. So is that correct?
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
that's a super technical term. Technical definition. I feel like when we're talking to people, like we need to talk to them like they talk to us. So essentially, informal milk sharing is just milk that you don't get from a milk bank. You don't get it from a hospital. You get it from a person-to-person exchange, whether that be my sister who's currently breastfeeding and has pumped me milk, whether that be a network through social media or some other form of technology of moms who are overproducers and underproducers sharing a community space and kind of like circulating the wealth, so to speak. So there's a lot of different ways and avenues that informal milk sharing can occur, but it just means that you're not getting it from a milk bank. And in that technical definition, they did say a cost is associated. But what they should have said is an unreasonable cost is associated. Nobody can afford that.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the average prices, and I mean, we can get into that later, but I was looking at some of the average costs per ounce, and also like the number of, I guess, official milk banks in the United States. Like, it's not a lot. Like, there's only one in my state. And in that definition, I was surprised at the word prescription. Being used.
So a lot of milk banks reserve access to those who have to go through a provider to get milk, which is like, not only is it a barrier, it's like a barrier at the discretion of people who don't fully understand breastfeeding anyway, right? Because like as a lactation professional, as a COC, we say that most providers, physicians, like they have a short chapter on lactation in the course of their education. Like they're not super deeply continuing education knowledgeable infant feeding specialists. So they could have somebody say, well, you don't need that. You could just use formula, or your struggle with breastfeeding isn't big enough for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like to get the real buy-in from providers to want to even write the prescription is kind of crazy, instead of somebody just saying like, hey, I'm rich, I can afford to buy milk, I just want to go buy some. Like they still have to go through these channels.
Yeah, I did that part. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know that you had to go through. I didn't know that you had to get like your doctor had to, or a healthcare provider had to give you a prescription for it. I was really surprised by that. And it says like, I think it speaks to I think not having that knowledge. I don't know if it's, I would say it's ignorance or it's a level of privilege. Like I didn't
Oh
even.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the barriers to access are ridiculous. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
reserved for NICU
Yeah.
babies, or babies who just aren't doing well on formula at all, and then the provider has to prescribe for them to get a certain amount, and they have to keep coming back to get more and more and more. But there's a tremendous cost to parents
Mm-hmm.
to get this, and you're talking about something that's sustaining their baby,
Mm-hmm.
so they need it constantly.
When I looked at, I was like, that's really interesting. It just gave me a lot of information that I didn't know. I knew that it was, I knew the cost was expensive, but I didn't know that there was an additional barrier that you had to get a
Mm-hmm.
prescription from
We're
a
talking about
doctor. But let's
generally
jump in.
an
Oh, go ahead.
agency that has employees, and they're doing these extensive pasteurization and screenings of parents, and sending out the
Mm-hmm.
stuff, the bags of whatever that they need to store it and send it in. So they have a very expensive business model that needs to be paid for. You see what I'm saying? It's
Ah.
not nothing at all
Yeah.
like what.
Yeah.
That a person can essentially do
Yeah,
themselves,
yes,
though.
yes.
Like, I mean, so you can scald milk at home and pasteurize it. Of course, it loses some nutrients, but it's going to lose the same nutrients that, it loses from the bank. You can screen parents. You can have your questions that you want to ask. At the end of the day, I mean, they have more specific testing measures because that can actually test the milk in addition to screening. But a lot of the things that a milk bank is doing, a person can do themselves.
Yeah.
So quick, go
No,
ahead,
I
Nikisha.
think that there's probably a lot of room to kind of go deeply into how this should be regulated a little bit differently, and could be, to make it more accessible. My apologies. It's lit up. It's lit up in here. Um, but yeah, so yes, to Rita's point, they go through extensive testing and screening, and making sure the milk is safe, and doesn't carry anything that may harm the recipient or the fragile infant oftentimes. But I think
Hmm.
there's room for much more discussion around what it looks like to safely share milk, in a way that also is protective of the fragile infant and of the parents involved as well. There's room for discussion around all of this, and room for us to improve the way that this is done, so that it's much more accessible in the formal space as well. And then we don't, I think Rita
Hmm.
touched on it. We certainly could get into um, some predatory practice, some real like not honest, lack of integrity type of practices that some of these companies do to get milk donated
Hmm.
to
Like
communities
what?
of
Well, I
color.
mean, let's
I
get
mean,
into
we're
that.
talking
I
about,
mean, Rita is here. We gonna get into your story, but like
we're talking about
what?
paying.
I mean, when you go into low income neighborhoods, underserved neighborhoods, people who are in need of funds, and exploit that to say, oh, we'll pay you to give up this breast milk, and you're asking a mother who is already having issues feeding her other children who are maybe not breastfed, they're going to say, oh, money? Of course you can have my breast milk. So who are you getting breast milk from? Urban areas, black mothers. You're not going out into the suburbs and saying, oh, we'll pay you for this breast milk. They're like, we don't need
Yeah,
that.
and you're paying
So it's
them
not like
a
a
fraction of what you're actually turning around and charging on the other side for those families to get it.
hmm
So
hmm
it's
and
problematic.
that's happened in the city of Detroit before. I can't remember what company it was,
We
but they
won't name
came
names.
specifically into inner urban Detroit,
Yeah.
and they solicited to low income neighborhoods and mothers who were already struggling, and said, "Hey, we're coming
I
to
don't.
y'all for the milk."
I don't even know how to feel. I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to feel about that. Like I don't even know how to feel about that.
It happened. It's real, and I think it continues to happen. But yeah, we're talking about pennies on the dollar, or paying those moms very, very little for their liquid gold to turn around and upcharge it ridiculously and make it pretty much inaccessible to those same communities you got it from. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a continuation of, wet nursing to me.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, it
That's
all.
like,
I
I
mean,
don't even
in
like,
historical
I mean,
context.
like, yeah, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I like few things shock me when it comes to white supremacy, but that yeah, I'm legit shocked
Yeah.
at that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm legit shocked at that. Because yeah, I'm legit shocked at that.
I mean,
Okay.
exploitation of Black folks, particularly Black women, is sewn into the fabric of
I
America.
mean,
Like this
it
is,
is,
this is what.
but I mean, you're right. You're right. But that is
Yeah.
just like that makes my stomach
It was
queasy. That makes my
it was a
stomach
pretty
queasy.
pretty big
Mhm.
deal in the field, and Detroit was at the center of it several years ago. And some
Mhm.
feelings were hurt. Some companies got shamed and called out, and had to tuck their tails and leave. But the practice that they had been a part of was the damage had been done, and they were continuing to
Mhm.
exploit those parents. And I think probably did or will I think did resurface under a different name, same game, different place. And that continues to happen, which is why we're talking about the alternative. Uh, and what
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, you're so good, Nikisha. Because I was stuck. I was stuck, girl.
Come on, Rita.
I was struggling. You're so good. You're so good. I mean, I guess, I'm a doula and I'm not in practice, and now I support other doulas. Um but I'm not a breastfeeding professional, and I just didn't know how to shift from
Yeah.
that. I just thank you. Okay, so as Nikisha said, that's why we're talking about alternatives, and we're excited to have Rita here to join us. So I want to start by asking you, um, 10 years ago, or whenever you imagine what your breastfeeding journey would be like, what did you imagine? What did you imagine that it would be like?
Breastfeeding for me has since I was 17 years old and I had my breast reduction surgery had a big question mark on it.
Mm,
Um, there was always that like for whatever reason at the age of 17 I had the thought to ask doctors like what impact will having this surgery have on my ability to breastfeed any children I may have in the future, and the answer was just always very sketch. Through every consultation that I had it was just like, I don't know, we might clip some, we might know there's no way for us to tell
mm,
what we're doing to your milk ducts while we're in there. So it's kind of like you'll just have to see one day. They would say that like if they go in and do the surgery and they have to like completely detach your nipple and reposition it, then that severely impacts it. If they don't have to detach, your chances tend to be a bit better. Mine did not have to detach, so I was hopeful in that arena, but question mark.
I'm glad they even mentioned that. A lot of
so
folks
since you
never even get that much information. They're never told that their breastfeeding capacity in the future could be um, deeply inhibited, severely inhibited based on where they cut.
And I
Yeah.
struggle with that, just as like a community person who is an advocate for breastfeeding and have had the experience that I have. I've seen several friends, associates, whatever, who have gotten breast reductions before they have children. And it's like when you're talking to somebody who has these like struggles related to the size of their breasts and they're over it, it's hard to like be like, hey, did you consider this when you were thinking through all of this? Because like, A, like, is it really my business? But B is I on the other end of that is like, you're not thinking about this now, but you might think about it
Yeah.
later. Like, and then will you think about it later? Because as Black women, rates
mm-hmm.
of breastfeeding are lower. I mean, when you talk about historical trauma and they might not come from a family of people who breastfeed, it's probably not even on their radar, so they don't care to begin with. So then I'm going back into, oh, so now I need to teach you about breastfeeding so that you can learn the importance while you think about the decision. It's just like this whole, it's a
Yeah.
process. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, you know what, not everybody wants your knowledge, Rita, be quiet.
Well, I think that that speaks to the reason why we don't need to begin to educate about birth and breastfeeding when a person is pregnant. Like
Okay.
that process needs to be started much, much earlier. And it also speaks to how we are involved in a medical system and not a health care system, because if you're dealing with breast in general, like you are a doctor who does breast reductions or whatever, you should be equipped with that knowledge. But because
Mhm.
we're dealing with a medical uh, system or institution, everything is like separated, because healthcare would be holistic, in my opinion. When I
Mhm.
think of healthcare, I think of holistic. I think of care. I think of holistic. But if I'm thinking about a medical system, it's like plug in here, plug in here. I'll only give you the knowledge that immediately applies to you. You don't have to
Mhm.
know everything and how everything works together.
I
Yeah,
agree.
there would be much more
Yeah.
intention around prevention than we have now. Right now, literally, our prevention is,
Mm-hmm.
eat right and exercise is what we tell people. We don't do anything to prepare them coming
Mm-hmm.
inevitably down the line or to avoid those things, such as so many of the chronic illnesses that we face as a people. But we're talking about something like birthing or infant feeding. Those birthing for sure is seen as a problem to be fixed. You go into the hospital, have a baby
Yeah.
as if that baby in you is an illness that needs to be rooted out, right? And so that whole perspective, that mindset, it's all about that moment, that day that baby's born. And people aren't doing a lot of forethought about, okay, when baby comes, how will you acclimate? How will you feed baby? You should be considering that. And to your
Mm-hmm.
point, I feel like these are conversations we need to be having in elementary school. Just as you know how mammals
Mm-hmm.
have babies, you need to know that humans birth and feed their babies in the same way. And you should be thinking about this no matter what your gender is, what your identity is. You should be thinking about what that may look like for you down the line, and how you feel about, or how you can best support or prepare yourself to be successful at whatever you want to do in that way moving forward. But we don't. We end up, okay, I'm pregnant now. Got to focus on birthday, and
Yeah.
then, okay, baby's here
Yeah.
now. How are we going to feed them? Wait
That
a minute.
imagery.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen in a children's book when a baby is being fed that they're being fed from the breast or they're always being fed from a bottle? Like, how easy would it be to introduce that? Because, I mean, there are children who are raised in homes who are watching their parents breastfeed. There are children, more children than that, who are not. So, where else are they supposed to see that from a young age to even absorb it, to even think
It's
about it?
certainly rare.
I actually thought that now that we are having this discussion, I only thought at 17 to even, like, I was not a breastfed child. Um, but I had a close relationship with my cousins who, I think I was like 11 or 12 when their first child was born and she breastfed. So I watched
Mm-hmm.
her breastfeed two children. So I had that awareness to know that, like, there is something else out there besides formula to feed your children. But I had
Yeah.
that view of it.
And that somehow stuck with you along the way to make you to
Hmm.
trigger that question, whether consciously or unconsciously. And I also think too, breastfeeding is seen as like an
Yeah.
option or like a privilege. So it's not like the first way that we automatically think of feeding our children. I mean, I'm hoping that's changing. I had a baby 8 years ago. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I
I
breastfed,
think it is.
but
I
yeah,
think
but
that
I'm hoping that's changing.
out of my friends who are like actively in this having children phase of life, um, I want to say there was only maybe one person that I'm actually close to who didn't say they're at least going to try
Try.
and
Mm.
start off with it, that are like, oh no, I'm just going to give my baby formula. So that's hopeful. It's a little bit harder to keep them going strong. Have been able to see some really great stories, and would like to think that hopefully I was able to be supportive to those people in that
Yeah.
time, but I think it is changing.
So when did you know that so you knew at 17, I would think, that your breastfeeding journey would be different.
Mm-hmm.
So while you were pregnant, what was your pregnancy like? Did you still not know for sure if you were going to be able to breastfeed when you were pregnant?
No, I didn't. And it
Mm-hmm.
was probably one of my biggest worries. Like, I worried on
Mm.
the daily basis about my ability to be able to breastfeed and tried to saturate myself as much as I could. Um, Having a few close friends who had either were currently breastfeeding or had recently breastfed, asking them for advice, getting into social media, Facebook pages. I'm in so many Black mothers breastfeeding support groups.
You and Nikisha. You and
I've
Nikisha.
been,
Nikisha was in like 20
Don't
at one
judge me.
time.
yeah.
Don't judge me.
And now as a
Moderating.
professional, I have to like kind of remove myself from some of those because the urge to want to be a professional in those spaces and like
Mm-hmm.
the things that are said, it just kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit. So I've had to try to back away from that. But at that time, like that was one of my greatest resources. But even in those spaces, it was really hard to find somebody who I could identify with because it's like, yes, I'm in a space with other Black mothers, so they understand that part of me. But almost none of them, pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
were post surgical moms. So, and
Mm.
then the one group that I did find with post surgical moms, 98% of them didn't look like me.
Swat.
So it's like there's this
Mm-hmm.
other,
You can
it
say
was like there
you
was
can
never
say
really
white.
a
You
space.
can say white on here. It's cool. You can say white on here.
Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
what the terms is. There's like a lot of slang terms
Yeah.
that we're using
It's all right on here. It's all right.
nowadays. But yeah, so I was trying to saturate myself in education and support and going to, like, I went to the summit with Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association, try to learn from them and join all of these
Mm-hmm.
clubs and all of these spaces, um, because there was like a lot of other stuff that I was dealing with during my pregnancy, and that still was like a very high worry. But there was, when I got to day one, when that child was delivered, out of all of the research and reading that I had done and all the ways that I tried
Mm-hmm.
to prepare myself, I still fell flat on my face. I was, when that baby was here and trying to latch, I felt so unprepared.
What kind of support did you have there? Like
In the
in terms
hospital,
like in that moment when the baby's here and the moment has come, what kind of support did you have, and did your plan immediately go out the window or did it gradually go out the window?
I gave birth in a room full of women. It was like the main attraction when I gave birth. I think that and Crystal knows part of my story from my previous interactions, but
Mm-hmm.
I was essentially abandoned by my child's father during my pregnancy. So having that like large missing piece, I think I don't know that there's a way to go overboard, but I was very like pulling on who was there. So
Mm-hmm.
in my delivery room, my mother, my auntie, my best friend, my sister, my other sister was on video chat. Him and his mother
Ooh.
eventually made their way there. So all of these people, none of these women have breastfed. So it was, I think my aunt may have breastfed for 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my midwife, who was
The
not a woman,
thought of
but
all
a
those women in the room just sounds
Yeah.
beautiful. It just, I mean, it gave me
It was
chills
it
when
was
you
a
said it.
special experience. It was a
Mm-hmm.
special experience. My son is my mother's first grandchild, but my aunt has several grandchildren. And she said even for her, it was the first time. She has been in the room before, but it was the
Mm-hmm.
first time that she was actually able to see the baby make
What
passage.
was the
Mm,
setting, Rita?
mm,
Um,
Was it
mm.
in a birthing center, home, hospital? What was the setting?
I was in the hospital, yeah.
And they allowed
You're in the hospital?
what?
Oh, this is pre-pandemic. My son's 4.
Yeah.
No, I'm even pre-pandemic.
Oh yeah, I asked. I
Mm-mm.
was like, "Is there like a limit on how many people can be in the room?" And they said no, as long as they're not like rowdy or loud or disturbing other
Oh
people's birth
wow.
experience. I came in with a crew, a suitcase, a book bag, an outfit. I had my lashes done, my hair done. I had to be cute for my baby to make it into the world.
You came in with the village. You came in like Earth, Wind, and Fire. 50 people on stage.
Very few places allow that. I don't know if you know how privileged you were in that moment to be able to have your whole village attend.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, the max I've seen is like 3 people, including a birth worker, allowed in the space.
Even pre-COVID.
No, nobody.
Even pre-COVID, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is at a pretty large health system, so I'm like the health system that I now work for. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so the moment is here. The moment is here, and you have a plan. So, like I said, did that plan immediately go out the window, or did it gradually go out the window?
I think that what went out, I won't say anything went out the window. My plan was to try to breastfeed. I did not educate myself on the what next if it didn't work. So I, was just like in my head, like, I'm just going to do this. We're just going to try to see if it works. At this time, I had no knowledge of informal milk sharing, had no idea what that was. It was just like breastfeed or flop. So I had my midwife who helped me try to latch. And in that moment, it's like, he's just born. His stomach is still full of other things. It was just like more so about that connection and getting him on and seeing if he'll latch. Like anatomy wise, my shape is different. Like most women's nipple is right at that curve of their breast, which makes it easier for the baby to latch and get that good seal. And my nipple's higher. It's not on the curve of my breast anymore.
I'm gonna need a picture of that.
So that makes it more difficult.
I'm gonna need a picture of that for the melanated memory atlas. We'll talk about that. I'm gonna need a picture of that for the melanated memory atlas. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In my other video,
shameless plug.
Like, shameless plug, and I'm here for it. The last time we did this for conference, I included a video. My whole nipple was available to so I'm not even. We can talk about that. Feel free to email me.
I don't think people think about that though, like where your nipple is placed on your breast. I don't think that that's a thought in terms of like how that could impact your breastfeeding. But go ahead. So you said your nipple was up high.
Yeah, so like things like that, I don't even really think that my midwife was really prepared to like triage or navigate through. So like I said, it wasn't that breastfeeding went out the window. I was very sure that I wanted my child to get mommy's milk. It was just like, okay, if this doesn't work right now, then what am I supposed to be doing? And that's where the trouble came in, because I had a very easy labor and birth, no tearing, none of those things that make you stay in the hospital later. But I stayed in the hospital for 3 days because I knew that there was lactation support in the hospital. Well, there was supposed to be lactation.
Wait. They let you stay in the hospital and you didn't have a C-section for 3 days?
We're learning a lot about this hospital.
Girl. And how it's different. I'm trying to move people to Detroit just to have kids. Okay,
well, in Detroit. When I stay 3 days, it's like day baby is born, full next day, and then that following day.
Yeah, no girl, no C-section where I am. You out with the next day.
I had an uncomplicated birth, but I mean my postpartum was more complicated. So, because I was like, I'm not leaving here until somebody comes in and helps me figure out what's the best way for me to get this baby on. So I don't know what y'all are going to do. But I mean, to your point, it finally got down to a point where they were not confident with how much milk he was getting from me. And I was fine. So they were like, we need to know how you're going to feed this baby, or he can stay here and you can go while you figure it out. So it was like that pressure of, so they don't know how much he's getting from my breasts. And the only way for them to measure what he's getting is for me to express it. I hadn't had my mature milk come in yet. I was still leaking colostrum until I went home. And that next day, my mature milk came in. So it was kind of like 3-ish days of him maybe getting what he was getting out of me on colostrum and them not being sure. So it's like,
where was lactation?
You need to give him this formula, or we're not going to let him.
Where was hospital lactation? Where was your
Listen to the lactation lioness.
Listen,
Where
I'm
was
mad.
hospital lactation? Go
What?
ahead, Nikisha. Go ahead, Nikisha.
There are the entire lactation team is white. So we already know when they walk into the room, there's just like, oh, well, you're not going to keep doing this anyway. So let's get in and out as quickly as possible. And she was like, I'm super busy. You've been waiting on me to get here. I got like 20 minutes to spend with you. No. And then was on about her way. She was like, if you try to make an appointment to come back and see us, after you go home, we don't really have like office hours, but we can take you into like a conference room or something like that if you're still having issues. So yeah, it was like a really confusing time. I will mention, okay, maybe I did have a little bit of thought of what next, because I did come to the hospital with donated breast milk from my friend. So
oh, that's
I did. My friend
dope.
Madison. She had given me about 2 bags, I want to say, that I had kept in the freezer, and I took them with me. But what I was not equipped with was the knowledge of how long milk can be out after it's thawed, or how quickly it has to be used. So as I said, I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. After milk is thawed, it has to be used within 24 hours or it has to be discarded. So I was never even able to give it to my son before it had to be discarded.
Did she give you the milk because she knew, the challenge that you may face?
Yeah. Yep. We had been,
Best
so
village.
she was currently breastfeeding. She was my college roommate, one of my best friends, has always known about the surgery. And, we had just been having conversations because she also wanted to have the surgery, but decided to do so after she was done with children. So we had talked about that. And it was kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, well, you can take this milk with you. That was my first introduction without even knowing the name of what we were doing. It was just a friend loving her homegirl and being concerned about the baby, and sent me to the hospital with some milk. I brought it in a cooler, but it still thawed.
Can I just say how special that is? Because so many of us are still in his bodily fluids. I would never, you know what I mean? Like we just have the absolute wrong impression of what it is and how it's made and the value of it and the fact that it's shareable. I think that's you all are really unique in that way. You keep telling us things about this story that is so unique. Like this isn't everybody.
I never even thought about it. It was never even a question. I didn't even consider it being a bodily fluid. It was like, hey, I got this milk for you. And I'm like, oh, my baby could drink that. So like, let's do it. It was never even a thought for me that the like rabbit hole. I mean, and I learned in the worst way, the rabbit hole that people go down and in regards to the way that they think about breast milk. But
yeah. Was your real quick, you might have said this. You said your nipple was not removed, but was the cut periareolar? Did they sever? They did not remove. They left some attachment during the surgery?
So when I say removed, they didn't have to go underneath my nipple and cut out of it and reposition it. So it stayed attached to my breast tissue, and they cut around it and then sewed the skin back to
it. Right. There's differences that, I see a lot of folks who have implants, and so those cuts can be different places, but you're sharing with us and our audience. I want them to know that when you get a reduction, this is typically the cut that's made, and there's going to be very, very likely going to be some limiting of what you're able to express years later, based on a number of factors revolving around how that cut is made.
I mean, it's my understanding that prior to ever giving birth, that your milk ducts are so small that they're not really visual. Like when the surgeon is actually in there, they can't take the care to cut around it because they don't really know where they are, especially if there's a lot of fatty tissue in there. So that's the concern. And I mean, women are amazing in such that even if they are clipped, when milk is trying to leave the body, it will try to find its way out. So if milk does encounter a clipped duct, it'll continue to try to leave through there, so that other side of the duct will try to find it and like reconnect. But that doesn't always happen. So that's where the struggle comes in. Like if a duct is clipped and it doesn't re-find its home, it can't exit out through the
nipple. Nature finds a way. Our bodies keep trying to do the thing that they were intended to do. But to your point, let me say this then. I wish more breast specialists and breast surgeons were concerned about maintaining, preserving the ability for a parent to feed in the way that they want to later in life. I believe there are ways to do that surgery that don't completely disrupt or completely cut off the ability to. But I don't think it's a common thing at all. I think your experience is the most common by far. And if we had more breast specialists who were informed or even invested in preserving the relationship or preserving the parent's option to breastfeed in the future, I think that we would see us make a way. We would see them make a way to do these surgeries in ways that were not
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, definitive in how.
I mean, but it's all about the dollar. As much as wonderful as that would be, I'm sure it would take more time. It would require more resources. So enable my surgery already took 6 hours. They don't want to spend another two so that I can continue to breastfeed in 10 years.
How unfortunate, though.
So it's very unfortunate. I agree.
So to me, that's just like with C-sections. They don't inform you that this could limit how many children you're able to have in the future. They don't give you that information up front, because I mean, it's a great thing that you even asked the question, that you knew to even be concerned about it. So okay, so you're at the moment, you're in the hospital, and they're like, okay, either you tell us how you're gonna feed this baby, or the baby stays here and you go home. So what did you do? And your friend's milk, you can't use it anymore because it's been over 24 hours.
And I couldn't get any from her. I think she probably would have given me more. But she was just far. She was like 45 minutes to an hour away from where I was. So I, and it's like tinges my heart every time I say it, gave him formula so that he could come home with me.
It's okay. You did what you had to do.
Yeah.
You fed the baby.
It still feels a little like, and then especially now that I have, been immersed in this world since then, and have gotten my CLC and have the knowledge, it's just like, you would have known, you could have did this.
But
I didn't know about feeding or spoon feeding or all of these other things that I could have tried to have done, or I did ask before I gave him formula if they would give me milk from the milk bank, and they told me no.
Yeah.
They told me that I wasn't, because he wasn't at any health risk. That sounds really crazy. Because he wasn't at any health risk, that I could give him formula, and that milk wasn't available to normal moms. And I tried to explain to them, like, yeah, he's healthy, but I'm not a normal mom. So I feel like I should be able to have access to this resource. And they told me no.
Yeah, you're just describing another symptom of the way that we view the feeding options. I think that that's really important, that we do what we can to respect the way the parent wants to feed their infant. And that's really important. Yes, be clear. We don't want to villainize formula. It is a legitimate way to feed an infant. It is absolutely, FDA regulated nutrition. It is real. And the majority of parents who look like us are feeding some amount of formula, if not all, if not completely. And so we understand, but your choice, your preference for your child was human milk, and they did not even try to make that possible. That's the problem. And that's what we're talking about, these systemic issues starting at the top down, but they're not even built to be able to provide you human milk for your baby if you're not able to produce in that moment, or couldn't satisfy their need.
But they can give you 50 bottles of formula. They'll send you home with 50 cans of formula.
Quick with it, okay?
A coupon
with the nipple.
A coupon for 3 weeks.
Like
you were on lists. I'm sure you got free samples in the mail from then on. Yeah, absolutely.
They'll send you with that though. But I just want to set some mothers free right now. You do the best you can with the information that you have at the time. And that's what you did. There's no shame in making the choice with the information and the circumstances that you were in. The shame is for the system who can't give you more options, as Nikisha said.
I wouldn't even contextualize it as shame. It was more so like, I guess, guilt.
There's a lot of complex emotions. Guilt, regret, shame, parents.
Regret, all of that. Yeah.
We don't want to name your
Yeah, but
feelings,
I
but we know
just
that that's how a lot of parents
yeah.
are feeling some
Yeah.
degree of any of those, and some other ones I didn't name, right? There's a lot of feel. This is a sensitive,
Yeah, for
very
sure.
personal issue, and when it comes, whenever Black Breastfeeding Week, y'all know, whenever it comes up, folks are like, well, I didn't breastfeed, I didn't have, and I'm fine, my kids are fine, or during the formula shortage, folks are really in their feelings because these are sensitive issues that really do hit to the heart of, you know, how we judge parents,
Mhm.
how we judge mothers every day for the decisions that they make, and our systems are not set up
Mm.
for any of us to be successful at this. Full stop. They don't exist. And so
Mm.
you are a rarity in your success story. I'm a rarity in mine. Crystal was her, we are not indicative of the typical cases of how parents end up feeding their
Yeah.
Absolutely.
period.
So in that moment, what you felt guilt in that moment, and did it like twinge your heart in that moment when you decided to give him the formula?
It did, because I just
Mm.
had the time to like learn the difference. And
Mhm.
folks who try to tell you there isn't a difference are sorely mistaken. And that's just science. Like, emotionally, people can say, oh, there's no difference, that my baby is fine. But the biology and the science are a little, a little different than that. And, I come from a healthcare background. So I'm very much in tune with like, what is the research showing us? What have the human body shown us? So it was just like in that moment in my head, and trying to be a first time mom who felt like she had a lot to prove because I'm a first time mom. I'm a Black mother giving birth
Mm.
to a little boy who doesn't have a father. And it's like all of these stereotypes that I have burdened myself with. And so I feel like I just have this like huge catalog of things that I need to overcome and prove. It just felt like I'm already not doing what's best for him. Like, I'm already
Mm.
not giving him what I know is the optimal
Mm.
choice. And every decision that I make as a parent, I want to try to give him the optimal choice.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
I feel that. I felt that.
Mm. I think so many people will feel that. I think so many people will feel that. And um yeah. 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 And so you leave the hospital with this feeling. What does your support look like? What are you thinking you're going to do from then on, or are you even thinking about it at that moment?
I never stopped thinking about it. I probably
Mm-hmm.
thought about it in my sleep. Support from like my side of things was, it was just pretty much like whatever you want to do. Um, you know, we're behind you for it. I lived with my mom at that time, and she was very much
Mm-hmm.
so like not really understanding why it was so important to me, but if it's important to
Mm-hmm.
you, it's important to me type of thing. So
That.
I'm going to support you like whatever that means. Um so I did make an appointment to go back to the hospital where I birthed and talk to that lactation consultant, which was, I went 3 times and it was a waste of my time every time. She never had anything really to offer to me. And by the third visit, she was like, you keep coming here trying to get a different answer. I don't have a different answer for you. You probably aren't going to be able to breastfeed because you've had this surgery. I don't really have any other options. Like, this is not something that we see very often. I can refer you to this other clinic who has a physician who is an IBCLC and a pediatrician, and this clinic specializes in lactation. I think that you should reach out to them. I go home and I'm at home triple feeding,
Mm. Break down for
Can
which
what
you
that
explain
is,
is.
triple
Break it down.
feeding?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So triple feeding is, so the what this process looks like is, it starts with latch. So I'm latching him and he's doing his best. So we were spending probably about 40 to 45 minutes at the breast trying to make him get everything that he could get. I would then bottle feed him. If I had any pumped milk, I would give him the pumped milk, and then I would give him like maybe an ounce or so of formula. Then I would pump and try to just re-stimulate and get out anything I could, which was like drops and by the time that was all over, he was ready to feed again. So I didn't sleep for the first 3 weeks. I guess he was born.
So your son is 3 weeks old. You're triple feeding. Lack of lactation support due to, I don't want to name all the reasons. I'll just say lack of knowledge for one. But I do kind of feel like okay, so lack of knowledge. I'm just going to leave that there. Just all the things that we know. Well, I'm just going to say it. I feel like if you were a different color, you would have gotten more support. I really do. Yeah, I feel like you would have gotten more support.
That I was dedicated as a white person, they would have been like, well, what do you need? We gonna go all over the country. What's it gonna look like?
A whole different story. Right. You would have been referred to a human milk bank. You would have. And you would have gotten milk.
It was never even offered to me. Never even offered to me.
So she refers you to this clinic, to this lactation specialist, and do you follow up with that?
Yep. So I ended up going there. And I did feel like when I saw that clinic, there was more of a plan to see like what my body was capable of. Be it that I was already triple feeding, like she felt confident that I was doing the best that I could to try to like move milk and make milk. And the idea was to like do the best I could with feeding. And they spent like several visits basically just trying to figure out what that was. So like, how much are you producing?
They did a weighted feed.
Now I do feel like
did they try weighted feed, or how were they able to get you to there?
Yeah, just continuously doing weighted feeds, and then she would like calculate.
What's a weighted? Can we explain a weighted feed?
So a weited feed is
this is for the folks that just put the child on the titty.
There's so many.
I'm a doula, but I just was like,
break it down, Rita.
So many terms.
So weighted feeding, okay.
So you basically strip the baby down, weigh the baby all the way with nothing, no diaper, and you actually weigh the diaper, and then the baby, so you have accurate. But and do that before, feed the baby, and then do the same weight again under all of the same circumstances, with the hope that whatever ounce, half an ounce, 2 ounces difference in the weight before and after, you can assume is due to milk transfer.
Oh, I did that. I didn't know that's what it was called though, but I did that with my second child.
Yeah. So that you would essentially be able to tell. And so when I was going, I was maybe transferring an ounce, half an ounce, which as a small baby is enough, but as he gets bigger would not be enough. And I would have to literally latch him every hour. So it was just like, how much in a day? So they wanted to take that and give me a picture of a day. Like, if you're regularly latching, how much milk do you need to give him a day for him to be meeting his needs? But that's tricky, because at the same time, I felt like I was kind of getting caught into a top-up trap too early. And so a top-up trap, since that's another term,
this is going to be a real educational episode, y'all. Y'all going to know all the terms.
I need y'all to all have your notebooks. So a top-up trap is essentially saying, like, you feed the baby and then you give the baby formula because you think that they're not giving enough. So you're topping off. But then you're teaching the baby that they need more milk than your body can give. And you're teaching your body that this is all I need to make, even though it's not enough. So
which has long-term effects on the child, that teaching them that you're topping them off, teaching them that their body needs more than their body actually does, has long-term effects on the way that children eat.
And also on mom's ability to produce over time, right? You're already putting that limit on your body instead of really pushing it, because it's like the concern isn't mom's body, the concern is the baby's nutrition. So that's what we did. I mean, and I think that they did the best they could. She did tell me on my very first visit, she never came in, and she being the physician, never came in with the idea that I was going to get to 100%. Her idea was like, we need to figure out where your maximum is, so that you know what else you need to do to make sure that the baby is fed.
How did you feel about that? Did you feel like that was realistic, or do you feel like that was discouraging, or
I think at the time I felt that they were trying to do the best that they could to make sure that my son was fed. I
okay.
think now that put a limitation on me.
Mm.
Because I, to this day, I feel like if I had known better and had better support from day one, that I may have been able to get close enough to be able to feed him by myself.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I went there. There was also a support group that was attached to that clinic that was led by an amazing Black woman named Kiva. And so Kiva is who actually introduced me to the idea that like informal milk sharing was a thing that I could do over time. And she introduced me or connected me with my son's first milk mommy.
Give it up for her name's Kiba. Give it up for Kiba.
Kiva with a V.
Shout out, Kiva.
Give it
Shout
up with
out.
Kiva. Give it up for Kiva. I'm gonna try to insert some hand claps for this. Give it up for Kiva.
Yes.
So
definitely
all
give it up
and
for Kiva.
so all this time, no one's ever mentioned milk sharing or is. So let me ask you this. So even they didn't refer you to a milk bank, but is it taboo? Is it against the rules or whatever it is for a clinician or a hospital to talk to you about informal milk sharing?
Yeah, so there's that. Now that I'm a CLC in class, they are very clear. This is not something that you're supposed to do. It's not safe. And they say all of the things to like fearmonger. And as a lactation professional, who maintains her certification, it is something that like they tell you that you're not supposed to advocate for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that probably plays a big role in that. Kiva, and this is not a detriment to her because she's absolutely amazing. If I recall, at that time, she was not under any like certification. She's more of a peer educator. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe she just wasn't limited by that. Maybe she didn't care. Like maybe she's like, we're gonna do whatever we can for these babies. Um, but she definitely was the person that was like, oh no, there are moms out here that produce like crazy, and they
That sound
want to
like a
know
black
what
person
they
too.
can
Oh
do.
no, girl. You
She
didn't
said she
know.
had
Like
something to
we start
share.
with the oh no,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
she
no, girl.
definitely
Mm-mm.
definitely put that out there. And at this time, I also was like in this period of like, I can't believe that this is so hard. I can't believe I'm such an
Mm-hmm.
outlier. Where are the people who look like
Mm-hmm.
me? Where are the people who know my experiences?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can't let other people have the experiencing that I'm having. So I'm gonna start to educate myself. I don't know what this road is gonna look like, but there's gonna be some lactation credentials behind me so that when there's another me, they don't experience things the same way.
Mm.
They're gonna see a Black woman, they're gonna see a post-surgical mom, they're gonna see like all of the things that are in me that I was not able to get.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
that's really
So she
important. It's that you were able to show up, or that Kiva was able to show up for you in a way that a lot of folks can't do. Um, really out of concern and fear for their certification and being held liable in the event that something goes wrong. I know neither
Mhm.
in my volunteer capacity in the organization I volunteer for, nor in my professional capacity as an IBCLC, can I straight up just connect two parents together for informal milk sharing. I cannot facilitate it in in that way because then I'm held liable in either area. I'm held liable for what might happen, potentially could happen, and could lose my license or ability to support families. But there is that that loophole, if you will, that you were able to take advantage of. Once again, we're talking about an exception to the rule where you fell into this place of this unique situation where you were really, really privileged to be able to get this insight in a way that most of us don't. Most of us have no idea. To Crystal's point, what is informal milk sharing? Like most of us have never heard of it, don't know it's a thing. But we've been doing this. We've been doing this forever. As long as parents have had breast, there's been a
Mhm.
communal feeding of babies. There's been lots of in lots of cultures they have milk. Babies have milk sisters, milk brothers, milk siblings, milk mommies. I think you used that term around
really that milk
some thing.
sisters?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Sorry. Go on. Go ahead.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I mean, and I hate that. I hate that for the field of lactation. I hate the idea that oh, if they still want to feed, just refer them to a milk bank, because there's so much privilege in that statement, so much almost supremacy in that statement. Um, and it's not realistic. I think that the lactation fields, like, I guess anti informal milk sharing is rooted in a lot of like loss of faith in humanity, like that people can't be good enough
Oh.
to say, I am healthy, the milk that I create is safe, and I can give it to you. Because, like,
Mm.
the concern is that, there are a small shaker of things that can be transmitted through breast milk. And now that I've worked in the field of HIV, I have learned that data supports that women who are virally suppressed and in care and HIV positive can safely breastfeed children. I've spoken to several mothers who have done so.
They're
Um,
encouraged to do so.
so I guess like that's where that
And they're encouraged.
fear
Say that
comes
again,
from,
Nikisha.
is that
Yeah,
you.
in most countries,
I'm
they're
sorry.
encouraged to do so. We're a little different. We're a
Yeah,
little different here. Yeah, HIV positive.
they're encouraged. HIV positive mothers are encouraged to, specifically in Africa, where the highest rates of HIV still are encouraged to breastfeed, because the risk to the baby of impure water is higher on fatality than the
Oh.
risk of HIV transmission.
Yeah.
But because we're
Mm.
in an industrialized country where formula is mass produced and water is safe, they would rather push the formula than allow the mom to
Facts.
breastfeed.
Facts. Yeah.
Mm. That's a clip.
That's a huge cliff. It's like
That's gonna. Well,
criminalized.
no, that's gonna
She's
be a
always looking for
clip
a
from
sound bite.
for
It's
the
a sound bite.
podcast.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
gonna be a sound bite.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not in podcast world.
It's all right. That's gonna be a sound bite. That's I mean, because that's you know, I mean that there's so many levels there. There's so much there. There's so much there. There's so much there. So Kiva introduces you to milk sharing, and that it's a thing that, hey girl, we out here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So what you trying to do with this baby?
It was
So
actually a
where do you?
mom who also attended the support group.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a resource, because she was a pediatrician at a local hospital. And so, yeah, I connected with her.
So the mom was a pediatrician. So there was a mom in a group who was a pediatrician at a local hospital,
And an
and
oversupplier. And an
an
oversupplier.
oversupplier. Okay.
So she
Okay.
had milk. She made enough milk to feed her daughter at the breast. She made up the rest of my son's diet and fed another baby off of her supply. She did. She was very transparent about her own health. She was willing to produce her medical records to me. I chose not to violate her privacy, because anybody who's willing to produce medical records doesn't have anything to hide, in my opinion. And that's a huge part of informal milk sharing. It's just like there's got to be this level of trust and camaraderie around motherhood. Um, just knowing that, I want what's best for my baby, and you want what's best for all babies, because you believe in breastfeeding. So there's like this shared trust among the network of mothers who receive donations and give donations.
So in informal milk sharing, is there any exchange besides milk? Like, is there a monetary exchange or anything like that, or is it just it's just I'm doing this just sheerly out of like good humanitarian?
So there's typically not an exchange of money.
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel, and a lot of people who are in this community feel, that that's where the ulterior motives come from.
Mm-hmm.
People who want to profit off of another mother's inability, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to look at it like that, because people may have a true need for income and say, I have this thing that I can market. But when you're talking about like this shared experience of motherhood and just understanding and camaraderie, and trying to like remove that kind of like crabs in a bucket mentality, that I need to
Mm-hmm.
make something off of you to be able to do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, no, I would not personally purchase milk from someone I would be concerned about having to decipher if that person actually just needs income in their household, like, or if they're covering something up because they're an ulterior motive or something of that nature. But it is very common to, so I never have had to pay for milk because there are a lot of other mothers who think similarly, on both sides, which I'm very grateful for. And I realize is an extraordinary feat to have, because I fed my son donated milk until he was a year old.
Wow.
So from the time
from the
was
from the same mom?
Not from the same mom.
Okay.
So from 6 weeks to 12 months, about 40% of my son's diet was donated milk, in addition to continuing to feed him at the breast and try to maintain whatever supply I could. So there is, to finish answering your question, it is very typical to provide supplies, right? Because they're providing this labor. They have to spend the time to sit there to pump the milk. Pumping is very challenging. So much kudos and appreciation to those who stay on the pump. Um, but providing milk bags and pump parts, and if you were to have milk shipped for you from another state to cover shipping materials and shipping costs and that sort of thing, is where money is typically spent, to say, I appreciate your labor of love, and I don't want you to have to spend any of your own money as a part of this labor of love. So I will provide you the supplies that you need to continue to do what you're doing.
Rita, can you tell us a little bit? I'm sorry, Crystal, I'm jumping in. Can you tell us a little bit about the community, the milk sharing community? Where could a parent who's listening, like, oh, I really want some milk, where do I start? Where do I go? Because it's an entire community of folks in different ways.
It is. We're out here. So I would say first turn into your closest network. If you know somebody who is breastfeeding, as a family member, a friend, in your community, even a coworker, somebody that you know that you can be comfortable with, to try to like relieve any of that other anxiety that may come with somebody that you don't know intimately. So I would say look at your core network first. My friend Jasmine was my first to help feed my son. My friend Ashley also fed my son. My sorority sister gave me milk. So I started there. Catherine, who is Kari's milk mommy, fed him from about 6 weeks to around 5 or 6 months before her child went on lactation strike and decided that she didn't want to latch anymore. And then, it was just like this whole thing. She was like, okay, if she's done, I'm done. Because at that time she was a year old. She was a little older than Kari. So after that, it was like the Hunger Games trying to find milk. It really was. And I want to be transparent as I continue to answer this question about community, that and I want everybody to know that moms that are receiving donated milk don't necessarily have the easy end of the stick. It is hard to find, and it is very mentally exhausting thinking about how you're going to feed your child. When you have one bag of milk left, your boobs don't work enough to give them what they need. Where is the milk going to come from? It's very, very hard. It was very anxiety inducing and stress inducing on me to try to continue to find this milk. But some of the other places I looked outside of, once I was didn't have Catherine anymore, my friend Ashley was really one of the people who was very integral in making sure that I had milk when I was about to run out until I could find some more, because she wasn't a huge oversupplier, but she was like, okay, I got about 6 bags you can have. Like, I've been storing them up. You can have that. See if that'll get you through. I definitely heavily relied on social media. So there are Facebook groups. I would primarily first go to Breast Milk Donation for Black Mothers is a Facebook group. It's a pretty small group.
Shout out! I know a few.
I would just go in there and post my story.
Shout out to those folks who run that.
I would. I would go there and post my story. I would post a picture of me and my son. I'm trying to feed him. Would prefer local pickup, but this is a national group, so I had milk shipped from Baltimore once. I want to say I had milk shipped to me from like Texas, one of the southern states. And I'm talking like big boxes full of milk that moms were just storing and were willing to give away.
Dang, I know all those folks. That's
So
a
there's
big
a
group.
lot to learn about how to ship milk to make sure that it stays frozen from place to place, because once it thaws again, you're under that 24-hour clock to
Yeah.
use it. And we're talking about shipping 300 and 400 ounces of milk. So that's not something that you want to spoil. Um, so I primarily use that. There's human milk for human babies. There's almost a chapter in every state. There's Eats on Feets, and these are all places that you can find as
Eats
pages.
on Feet.
Yeah, Eats on
That's cute.
Feet. And so you can like type that in and then type in Michigan or Texas or Nebraska, wherever you are, and find like your local chapter or go to the surrounding states. One of my favorite stories to tell is when I got my CLC certification. At this time, it was still a week long in person class, and I took it in Pennsylvania because I had family in like the Philly area, so I would stay with them. They kept my son during the day, and I would go to class. And when I went there, I did not have enough milk to last me the entire week that I needed to be there. So I knew that while I'm trying to learn this material, I'm also going to have to hustle essentially to try to find more milk for my son. And I remember talking to a doula who was in the class, and I'm telling her about my story. And then I'm like, I didn't come here with enough milk. He only has like another day. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, oh, I have some in the freezer. Like, I have a mom who I work with, and she's an overproducer. So she said, store it in your freezer. If you can get rid of it, great. Like, do what you can with it. She was like, yeah, I'll bring it to you. And of course, it's kind of hush hush because this is a doula. We're in CLC class. We're trying to, we're learning all the things. And I ended up coming back home to Michigan with about 500 ounces of milk when I didn't have any. I came home with this huge, and you should see how crazy I looked. I have this 7-month-old baby in a stroller. I'm pushing our suitcase. I have on his diaper bag. I have on his diaper bag on my back. I have this huge shoulder cooler with milk, stuffed under, and walking through the airport by myself.
Oh, TSAs. Not always our friend. I'm glad they didn't, give you too much trouble with that.
Yeah. So, TSA and traveling with milk, don't get me started.
Wow, there are all these hidden barriers that people don't talk about.
They will throw it out. They will put their little cleaning things.
Yeah, they'll want to open the bottle and test strip it. I'm like, you're not putting that in my baby's food.
That's just a lack of training and a lack of, I don't know what that is, but it's definitely a lack of something. But yeah, oh wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know
they
this
have
is an educational show.
Can carry human milk. There's no restrictions on the size or the amount, and that it's not supposed to be tested. But then you get there, and then folks test you every time.
Every time. Yep.
Kimberly, where you at? You need to include airports on the Earth app. Where you at, Kimberly? Reviewing airports on the Earth app. So at this point, your baby is 8 months old. So you said 40% of your supply is coming from donated milk. And how much milk are you producing? And then and are you supplementing still?
Yeah. So my son was constantly attached to me when I was home. We bed shared and dream fed. So there's like levels to co-sleeping. People say you're co-sleeping if the baby is sleeping in the same room with you and another thing next to you. Like I just break all of the norms when it comes to things that they tell you not to do with your baby.
You're ahead of your time. You're ahead of your time.
I am. We did dream feed.
What's dream feeding?
So he basically slept latched, so that whenever he wanted to feed, it was right there, and that was the only way I was able to get any sleep because he latched every 45 minutes because I didn't have a lot to give. So every time an ounce was made and ready, he was coming to get it. So I was feeding him like that. Another point of privilege that I came from is well, I wouldn't necessarily say privilege, was just work and saving. When my son was born, I had managed to save not a huge amount of money, but enough to where I was like, I'm gonna just quit my job and be broke because this is too
Yeah.
much. Triple feeding, you want me to go back to work? I need to pump. This child then wants to feed and be on me all night. It's like I need to be there to parent my child because me working
Mm.
is getting in the way of me feeding my son. So I need to be at home because not only is the breast pump not the same stimulation as my child, and I'm spending 8 hours a day from him, away from him, I need to do the best thing I can do for my body to continue to create what it's creating. So I definitely was very poor for about 2 years and got on all the assistance that I could get on so that I could just stay home. And I lived off of my savings. I call these companies and say I'm having a hardship. How long can I go without paying this bill? What can y'all put me on so that I could be
Wow.
a single stay at home mother who still had to provide for her child because I didn't get any support from his other piece of DNA.
Why were you so determined?
I
Most people would have given up. I'm just going to be real. Most people,
It's hard.
after your the mommy whose daughter turned 1 and she was like, if she's done, I'm done, like that would have been most people's endpoint right there. So what kept you like going? What was the drive?
I felt like I had lost control of so many
Mhm.
things. Like I lost control of him being able to grow up in a typical household. I lost control of, you know, so many things. I feel like there were so many decks that were already stacked against him and his future and what kind of stereotype they would put on him and his outlook and his outcome, that it was like, this is something that I can do for him to better his chances, and I can still have control over it because it doesn't require anybody but
Mhm.
me. um
Hmm.
which is not true because it requires the moms who donated the milk. But I'm talking about the drive to go out there and find the milk to be able to provide
Hmm.
him what I could give him, and that whole thing. And there were people who were not supportive of that, and it caused the end of some relationships and things like that. But it was just the decisions that were taken from me that resulted in the things that they say statistically, this little black boy turns out this way because this is the type of situation they were given or born into or whatever the case was. It was one of the ways that I could try to give him a better start and a foot forward, because there were some decisions that either were made for me or I was a part of that did not allow that in a lot of arenas. That was a really like around the bush answer,
No,
but
but it was honest. Crystal and and Thea too. We've talked a number of times, but Crystal and I have this shared experience of how disempowering our birthing experiences were because they were C sections. You
Hmm.
literally just tied down to
Hmm.
a bed, but that in itself,
Not a bed, a slab of
that.
steel.
And so
mm-hmm.
much about our births, multiple births, was disempowering for us that we, I think, totally understand and can relate to trying to take back control of some part of your infant's future and grabbing a hold of it wherever you can. And I'm sure it's not just our
Hmm.
stories. A lot
Hmm.
of us can relate to that. So
I mean, and I'll say it, men are valuable in the home in their child's life. And when you have this idea that you're about to have a family with someone, and even the support that they play in infant feeding in those early stages, like even though men can't physically feed the child from their breast, they're still very much so a part of what that story is supposed to look like. So
Yeah.
by me not having that piece and not knowing what that would mean, further down the road, it was just in every other space of parenting and raising him, including his feeding choices. I just always, and to this day, feel like I need to strive to, like I said, get to that optimum choice and that optimum level. So it's not only a level of commitment to breastfeeding, because I'm still, even though I'm no longer breastfeeding, committed to breastfeeding, what that means for my community. But it's just a level of commitment to my child that I am always gonna go as hard for you as I can, even if it's hard on me,
Mm.
because you deserve that, because you didn't ask to be here. So
So, how did your journey end? When did it end? And where were you? What percentage of donor milk were you receiving when it ended? And how much were you supplementing? And how much were you producing yourself?
so my son was getting about 14 ounces a day of donated milk. Another small piece of teaching tool to my community is, especially when you're breastfeeding, the amount of milk that a child needs every day doesn't change. When they're when they're formula feeding, it changes because the calories in formula are static. The nutrition in formula is static. So if you need more calories, you have to provide more volume. That's not the case for breast milk. So, especially, well, I will say milk that comes directly from mommy's milk. So your body is going to make what baby needs as they grow. So he was getting about 14 ounces a day. Um, I want to say when he was about 11 and a half months, I started to wean down that, and I gave him pea protein milk instead, because I'm just very anti cow's milk. We still don't drink. We're not vegan, but we do not drink cow's milk. We are not cows. So I weaned him down, and so then he was still latching. By the time he was 1, he was latching, and then he was getting like a little bit of a mix of donated breast milk and pea protein milk. He eventually stopped. Like when I ran out of milk, I did not find any more. Again, that was a very stressful experience. So once he was old enough, I was like, "Oh, child, we made it."
So how old was he?
When I stopped getting donated milk, he was a year old.
Oh,
So his
wow.
last
You did it for.
donation was probably a bigger one. And so I may have got it when he was like 10 months or so, 10 and a half months. And then after that one was gone, I didn't.
That makes me want to cry.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
It was a long road and a very tough feat. And my son loved his mommy's milk. He loved to latch. I could show y'all a video on my phone that I watch almost every day of him booby dancing while he's feeding. But even though he was getting piddles, he was like, "I'm getting them. I'm going on there." So he
well, because breastfeeding is also about the connection.
Yes.
It's about, the connection is about the skin to skin. And when you talked about men being an important part, when I was struggling to breastfeed, one of the best things that happened to me was my husband did skin to skin with our son. And that just, it did so, you can see the results of that in their relationship today. So it's about so much more than the food. It really, really is. Or the milk.
This is my little baby doing his booby dance.
You have to send that to us. You have to send it.
He's just a wiggling, and he is so latched and enjoying himself.
Oh.
So he was probably almost about a year old at this time. And that was the other thing I dealt with. As you can see, he was a smaller baby. Yeah. He never really hit those weight markers as pediatricians feel like they should hit them. So I actually changed his pediatrician when he was about 3 months old, because they kept trying to get me to get him formula. Like whatever, they were basically telling me, whatever you're doing is not enough. He's not getting enough because he's not gaining weight. But I had to explain to them that, like, genetics for him, and he, till this day, he's 4 years old and he's only 32 pounds. He's a very slim child and will always be, because his father is very slim. So it's just, and his father's all the men in his family are like that. So I was never expecting my child to be like a big chubby baby, but there was pressure the entire time, even from the medical community, to not feed him the way that I was feeding him. But I just knew, or really felt like, I was doing what was best for my child.
You trusted yourself. You trusted yourself.
It sounds like you found
So
a
yeah, I
better
fed him
Yeah.
until he was
for him.
17
Yeah.
months. So we stopped with the donated milk at 12 months, and he continued to latch until he was 17 months, and he would have continued to latch after that, but I just felt like he wasn't getting anything. So one day he was latching, I kind of just took him off and squeezed, and it was like this much milk coming off. I'm like, okay, son, we're done. Okay, there's nothing here. I would have fed him much longer if I actually would have been feeding him, but
You did amazing.
yep,
You
17 months.
So
really just surpassed all of the, statistics, and went. I think your journey is so unique and so inspiring because there's a lot of people listening today that are like, oh man, I didn't know that was an option. And now I may do things completely different with my next one.
mhm.
I had no idea. And I think you're broadening the perspectives and giving people a wider idea of what is possible, instead of what we continue to hear, these narrow, like only formula. Oh, if you can't breastfeed, this is a
Mhm.
possibility and something that's available and accessible to us, if we work for it. And I think that's really something worth celebrating. So I'm so thankful that you shared your story with us. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the platform. I felt so honored that Crystal even reached out to me and thought about me to be able to discuss this, because I really do love just being able to talk about it and to share and just give any opportunity for somebody new to, like, if somebody's trajectory was this way and they learned something and now they're over here, I just, any way that I could help uplift what this looks like for our community, and normalize as much as I
Absolutely.
can.
So we believe in manifestation on this show. And so I wanted to ask you, 10 years from now, what do you hope support looks like for mothers, specifically Black mothers who had the challenges that you had when it comes to breastfeeding?
I would really like to see, um, either more access to milk donation banks, or I would like to see credentialed lactation, like education and CLCs and IBCLCs, decrease the taboo of informal milk sharing.
Hmm.
And like, as lactation professionals, we really lean into what bodies were created to do. So if we're going to do that, let's not say only what your body was created to do for your child. We should
Hmm.
open this to say, like, let's get to a place where we can be a community of people who collectively have bodies doing what they were meant to do, and being able to
Hmm.
help pick up places where, I'm not going to say deficits, but where mom's bodies are different and not doing the same thing that the next one's is. I would really like to see a way that lactation professionals can embrace informal milk sharing, even if they're not at a point where saying I can connect person one to connect two, but can we educate this as an option and
Sure.
give, parents all of the information that they need to be able to make their own decisions and not have that be seen as a negative thing.
I'll respond with some hope there. I think no, I think this is important. I said a little bit earlier that you were ahead of your time, and I think that's continues to show itself as you speak. But I do know, at least for the IBCLC credential, they've gotten away from saying do not, recommend, do not discuss it, to we've evolved. Now we've progressed, I guess, to the point where we can say the risks oftentimes are not nearly as numerous as the benefits, and to educate parents about informal milk sharing, about their options, discuss their options with them, and ask, while we can't facilitate it, not yet, we certainly can inform and prepare the parents, so that they can make the best decision for themselves. And so I think we're seeing a little bit of a change. I'm hopeful. And I think that we'll see more of that through various credentials, because the body of evidence is clear that there's so much benefit to human milk for every baby, even in an informal sharing capacity. And so the more that we can at least get out of parents' way and allow them to do it on their own with, informing them, equipping them with as much information as they can, I think the more we'll see stories like yours rise up, success stories, and we all win. We all win through that. So thank you.
This was great. And I'm sure our listeners are going to have tons of questions. So please DM us your questions. Email us at magic@thenblackmamas.com, because if Rita is available, I would love to do a live with you, to hear some of that, to hear some of that feedback and answer some of those questions that I'm sure a lot of people are going to have. And maybe some questions that we didn't have an opportunity to get to today, but we can definitely do it on a live, because as you were talking, so many other questions were popping in my head. But thank you. I'm honored and grateful. I'm grateful that you share your story. I'm grateful for your vulnerability, because it is really, really gonna not only help someone, but I think this is gonna transform our community, and we can see breastfeeding as a community and cultural event. Like, we should be seeing birth and not just an individual event for a person. So thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for coming to the mothership and being inside the Black Woman Magic Room. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Our final segment is Black Mama Say, where we put our own twist on sayings for Black mamas. Today's Black Mama Say is inspired by none other than Queen Bee, who has an open invitation to join us in the Black Mama Magic Room at any time.
I can't even think about it.
Anytime. Come through. Okay, all right. There was some controversy around her use of the word spaz and the interpolation of milkshake, and she decided to remove those things because, what Beyonce said is, listen, this is a 3-part project and I want y'all to stay focused. So I'm not about to sit here and go back and forth with you. So that's our Black Mama Say for this episode. I'm not about to sit up here and go back and forth with you.
I must say it was a boss move.
I mean, it was overnight.
I honor that. My cheekbones are popping. I might just drink juice for the rest of my life.
Okay, focus. Are you going first?
No, I'm not going first. Okay.
Who's going first?
Oh, no. Who's going first? Who's on first? Who's going first?
Because of her lighting and her skin, we're not going to get through this, Nikisha. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let her go first so we can wrap her, in case we got to pull her.
Okay. We can reel her in.
She got to go first.
Okay. So I'm not about to sit here and go back and forth with you is really to people who I usually don't talk to on this podcast.
That must be white people.
Yes, it's white people. It's white people.
What is white people for 200?
Who didn't see that one coming? Okay. All right. Okay.
It's white people, and it's also Black people who spend their time on social media going back and forth with white people. So Donald J. Trump, also our 45th president of the United States, which he was elected by people. He was elected. He won an election. Was found with highly classified G14 classified documents in the basement of his home. And the FBI went in and got those documents. And what I want to tell white people, what I want to tell Black people who go back and forth with white people on social media about racism is, you need to tell them, I'm not about to sit up here and go back and forth with you about about whether or not Black people protesting is patriotic. When there are white folks sitting in Washington, D.C. defending, these are not people, hillbillies in the rural areas of the deep, deep South. These are elected officials in Washington, D.C., defending a man who has violated numerous times the Constitution of the United States of America. So I am not about to sit up here with you and go back and forth about Black folks protesting police brutality or about critical race theory. I'm not about defund the police when y'all want to defund the FBI. I'm not about to sit up here and go back and forth with y'all. No. Get your white people in order. Then come talk to me.
Is it going to be in order?
I'm not about to sit up here and go back and forth with you when you're calling January 6th an insurrection and it was a coup. An attempted coup. So get it together and come back and talk to me.
Maybe.
When you've read a book or two and got some sense.
I second that one.
That's mine.
So mine, there's actually two types of people that go into the same category for me.
Okay.
That I'm not about to sit here and go back and forth with. One, as always, people who don't like Beyonce. White, black, polka dot, I gives no fucks. As a formerly licensed therapist, it is just a mental health red flag for me when you don't like Beyonce. Like there's just
at this point.
And also I want you to know that I'm putting you in the same category with motherfuckers standing too close to each other during monkeypox with no mask on. And a new strain of COVID.
Well, that's so everybody in the South.
If you
that's
are
all Southern folks.
But it's only
no, it is not.
If you don't like Beyonce and or are under 6 feet next to people with no mask on during monkeypox and a new strain of COVID, okay? I want you to know.
What is heightened?
I want you to know. I am not about to go back and forth with you. I am not about to go back and forth with you, okay? I'm gonna pull from the shade of my Asian brothers and sisters and act like your ass don't even exist. You know that's some of the best shade on the continent. I like to give a shout out. We don't always. I don't know how many AAPI listeners we have. But for those of you out there, I have seen it, I have witnessed it, I have watched it, I have studied it from afar. And the way you can invisible a motherfucker is amazing to me. And so I will be applying. This is cultural appreciation, y'all. I want you to notice the difference. Because I did give a shout out to the community that it came from. I will be applying that shade to anybody trying to go back and forth with me. Like literally, you're blocked. Okay? Like immediately. I don't want to have a conversation about that. Because the day I miss a Beyonce concert ticket sale going back and forth with you, or the day I miss Act 2 or Act 3 of Renaissance, or the day I catch motherfucking monkeypox from what is the day you gonna find out what it means to storm a Capitol, okay? Katniss Everdeen style, okay? Hunger Games. I'm not about to go back and forth with y'all.
I'm telling you.
If you come for Rue, in this case, which is Beyonce, it is what it is.
When
Namaste. And that
Beyonce
too was spirit.
When Beyonce said, twirl that ass like you came out the South girl.
Listen. The choices, the language choices came about. I mean, you could have said like you from the South. But to say come up out.
But she said came up out. I want you to come up out.
As the author of Bitch I Taught Him versus I Taught Him Bitch, I want y'all to know that this shit makes a difference.
It matters. It matters.
Said, like it came from the South. She said came up from. And we will come up.
No, came up out of the South.
Came up out of the South.
Came up out the South, girl. About.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. I'm done with y'all.
Yeah. I was set free. I listen to that song like 3 times a day.
Oh, you want monkeypox? Is that what you're telling me, Nikisha?
The views expressed on this episode are not necessarily those of the individual.
They're shared by 2 of us.
Don't hurt nobody.
They're shared by the 2
Let it
fire
go,
sign.
Girl. Let it out, girl. Twirl that ass like you came up out the South, girl. Hey, must be the cash because it ain't your face. It must be the cash because it ain't your face.
Those views are
You can be my daddy if you want to. You can be my daddy if you want to. You can get it Saturday if you want to.
Have to do hers.
Move. Yeah, you gotta move.
Oh, she said.
Move.
She said. 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 She
That's the Grace Jones
Some of the
song.
views expressed on today's episode are not those.
That's the Grace
of
Jones
every
song.
Right then, left cheek.
As
especially those that may be offensive to anyone considering supporting any of my
You better not lose that ass, though.
So I would just like, state that for the record. However, listen.
Unfollow me.
How you feeling?
I just said I don't want to be within 6 feet. So
somebody asked me how I'm feeling. Somebody asked me how I'm feeling.
How you feeling?
Say how you feeling, Crystal.
Spoken like somebody who is free of licenses and restrictions. I am not.
Somebody say, how are you feeling, Crystal?
How you feeling, Crystal?
Still bound.
Cozy.
Still bound.
I feel cozy.
It's all true.
I feel cozy. Where you from? I came up out the South.
I feel like we have gone off the rails.
Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Nikisha.
Bring it
go
home.
ahead.
Who you not fucking with?
Insert mine real quick.
Who you not fucking with?
I'm going to stop doing these episodes from my setting where I make my money because I don't want nobody to tie these two things together. So if we can just, can I get a virtual background?
Eventually, we're gonna have to like when people are on a documentary, we gotta blur her face and change her voice.
Change your voice.
Because y'all about to mess with my bank and I don't know.
Y'all better keep paying Nikisha. She is doing good work out here.
Unless you don't like Beyonce, and then you can keep your non-Beyonce liking money because she don't need it. We got her. We'll take care of her, okay? Nikisha ain't never gonna walk, okay?
What? Woo! We're gonna talk about the people who say, never mind, we're never gonna go there. We love Beyonce. There's two places I'm not gonna go with you, and that's backward and forward. Backward, back,
back and forth.
Twist on our Black mama.
Gotcha.
Same thing.
Forth.
Unless you are 3 and you live in my house, and I'm trying to be an involved parent and not snatch you up. I need help, y'all. Please, somebody help me. Because how do we raise 3-year-olds in this evolved state, this gentle parenting state, when they come by their attitude honestly, and
come by the attitude honestly is also known as my child acts just like me. But go ahead.
She get it from my mama. How do we?
Is this one more like you than the last one?
Yes, in a different way, in a different kind of way. That last one she's still a problem, but this one, send help.
What this one do?
Like to do the prayer?
What this one do?
Prayer request. She just tested my gangster, and I don't really know what to do with 3-year-olds.
Give me an example.
This new,
I'm so excited.
Parenting situation. No, when they hear phrases that you're saying and they say them back to you in an appropriate way, like, you know what I mean? They say them back, like, who you think you're talking to? They toss them back. Like, wait a minute. When the 3-year-old says, who you think you're talking to? Like you said
that's
it to them.
Said it.
That's how she said it.
She said it.
Who you talking to? That's what she said.
And she applied it correctly.
Correctly.
You really can't hate if it's applied correctly.
Right. You really just got to be like, damn.
You really just got to roll with that.
She one-upped you on that one, Nikisha.
Yeah, you really can't. You got to give credit.
That's like a Marvel scene when you catch a bunch of towers and you throw that shit.
Yeah.
It's like one of them.
I will say we are going to have, am I saying her name right? Damari.
Mm-hmm.
Damari Dickinson. We are going to have Damari Dickinson on to talk about her transition to conscious parenting, so that you won't have to go back and forth, Nikisha. I mean, I got to give credit to the 3-year-old. You might win some, but you just lost one. I don't know. That's all true. I got, Nikisha.
On that one.
That's all I got.
Came here for
Here's
help.
The thing.
I'm trying not to go back and forth.
We need a moment. Yeah, I'm so impressed by the way she's
I'm impressed. What do you want me to say?
That child has your brilliance.
Let me tell you.
That's how we see this.
When my children...
Then you just gotta, you gotta up your game with your Black mama says, because she really turned the Black mama say against you like that.
Let me tell you, when my children make me
follow us on Instagram.
Wait, hold on, I'm about to have hope.
We have hope.
When my children make me laugh, or when my children do something genius, I just kind of be like, I mean, I guess I'm raising them right. They applied the information correctly.
I wish I could have seen you.
I
wish I could have seen your
face. I could have seen it.
Oh my God, that would have been so. Is she
a
Cancer?
She.
And
I love her.
Is she a Cancer?
My baby. Yes, she is.
So you know what it is. I just realized this. It's 2 water signs, and it's 2. I just realized what's happening here. Ooh. This is going to be fun.
Nakisha, Scorpio's a water sign?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Raging rapids.
The thing, but here's the thing that you saw at play. Scorpio is the obvious petty. Like Cancer is the low-key petty. And so what just happened was you didn't expect that because they don't wear it on their sleeves the way the Scorpios do. But
that's true.
Get you with that
Cancers
you forget sometimes. You be like, you is a water sign.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
I'm back. She's with it. Yeah. Comes with it at least once a day. And I'm like,
at least once a day?
It's a lot.
When your other babies are fire, what's honor?
A Leo.
My baby. My Aria.
Sag.
Oh, yeah, she's born in December. She's so sad.
Yeah.
She's
born in December.
She's a perfect Sag, though. I love me a Sag. So you got, and then
what's late August? What's late August?
Late August is Virgo.
So,
that's like.
So my Virgo and my Cancer are getting
so much sense to me. If you ever see Tamika's baby picture, it's your baby. It's your baby. They come here like with a fixed mindset. It's just like everybody. You ever watch Pinky and the Brain or like Boss Baby? That's the Virgo.
But
babies.
Also, I think she's Generation Alpha, which is the generation.
Is there a Generation Alpha?
Karis is Generation Alpha, and that generation.
Nobody told me there was a whole nother one.
Oh yeah, their attunement.
Is that the pandemic baby one?
No, I don't know, but Karis is 8 and he's Generation Alpha.
These last 2,
their ability to
this is your first water baby.
Apply knowledge.
This is your first water baby. No wonder.
Generation Alpha, 2010 to 2024. Oh, great! I have 3. 3 in there.
Mm-hmm. But it's the latest ones, the latest bunch, like Karis and them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, that was fascinating.
Y'all say a word.
We got to do some astrology around that. I got to pull some cards.
Yeah, and let me
tell you this: you can't fight water with water, though. You're gonna have to tap into some other elements in your chart.
And you do have to tell yourself every day, I'm not about to sit up here and go back and forth with a 3-year-old. I'm not going to do it.
Well, because it's not effective, apparently. We're going to have to find a new strategy. That's the number one reason. You can't fight water with water. We're going to have to tap into some new elements with this one. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so interesting.
Then help.
Does that help?
Everybody. 2.
But
last 2 water signs.
At least you know.
No, you got a Virgo. That's an earth sign.
The
late August one is a Virgo, like Tamika. That's an earth sign.
But at least you know, like,
she's
commanding respect. She ain't taking no shorts. The one who said, "Who you think you talking to?" Like she,
but she also has the nerve to be very emotional. Like she could toss it back, but then she'll be sensitive about getting it. Is she sensitive about getting it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she'll throw it back. See, this is the rub. You can dish it, but you can't take it. It's also because she's right next to Gemini. My God, bless her soul. She was.
I got nothing.
Was she in June? Was she a June Cancer or was she a July Cancer?
Early July. Okay, I got to go, y'all.
Okay, we love you though. That's the first time I think a black mama
Follow us.
Yeah, be lifted up and
got thrown
if
back
you
at us.
Hope, if you need hope, just look at my skin and my cheekbones.
Oh dear God. Well, Fenty is also helping.
Follow us.
Hater!
I gave you the whole episode. I told you it was Leo season, but you Aries just never can. I told you it was Leo
season.
We gave you all the accolades, all the episodes, all the light image.
We're only 7 months away from Aries season.
Go ahead, wrap it up, Nakisha.
Follow us on Instagram at Dim Black Mamas Podcast. And if you don't want to miss a moment of the magic, stay up to date with everything we're conjuring up with our newsletter, The Mothership, which drops in your box twice a month.
Ish.
Crystal will still be on the podcast after we're done recording it, looking at her reflection. And don't forget to check out our website, www.dimblackmamas.com. You can also send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask some questions at magic@dimblackmamas.com.
Be sure to subscribe to our sister podcast, Shaping the Shift. The latest episode is absolutely amazing. And if you're a Black mom in need of love and support, join the new app for Black moms, Meet Akina. Founded by Black mom and entrepreneur Lee Butler, Meet Akina is the new social media app for Black mamas, Black bonus mamas, and aunties. Finally, I want to give a shout out to Adobe Media, who produces our podcast. So the sound quality and all of that you hear, we're produced by Adobe Media. So shout out to them. They are Black women owned and Black women led. So in closing, we wish you expansion,
fun,
and I'm out.
I've given up. I have given up.
Who are you talking to?
Given up. That was so good, B. That was so good. The quiche. You gotta admit that was good. That was good. That was good.
Why doesn't the leave session button work? Why can't I leave? I'm trying to push the button to get out.
Why can't I leave? We got you though. For real, we got you.
I'm getting attacked on all sides.
We got you.
That's how.
Can't fight water with water.
People.
Send me her time of birth. I'll figure this out.
Namaste. The vast day. We out.